Hello everyone, welcome for this last episode of the United series, an application for the UNAOC High Representative and Director for the United Nations. So I am very honored to have your attention. If you're watching, thank you. It's going to be an amazing video where I will present today my encyclopedia very much in details to explain to you what the team building trainings are about and talk to you a little bit about life and the network. So you see, these are my tattoos and it sums up a lot about the journey. You know, my first one, I have other tattoos, but the magic lamp and believing in magic, believing in miracle, they will love to tell you where you should work, who you should date, how you should speak. But there's a lot of people who speak very well and they seduce you with their beautiful speech, but behind your back, they're sending the cops to arrest your people. They're trafficking weapons and sending bombs. And, this is not correct. So you want people who live with integrity. You want the new generations to be involved, but you make them struggle, until the point that you gave it all your time, all these memories to build something together. And I think that's really what I did. Of course, I am admirative of all the networks, all the people that are in this book. They are so smart geniuses with such incredible content and research. And this is why I want to work with them. And my role was to link everybody together, to connect, to be like, hey, do you know this person? Do you know this person? Look at what they're doing. Look at the International Space Federation. Look what they found, the anti-gravitational and electromagnetic equations. Look, SpaceX, you should do that now to avoid polluting so much. So that was my role in the journey. And I could push, I never stopped educating myself, and I could push my documentaries, my content in much better quality, which I have done. I went to Egypt in 2022 for the UNAOC event in front of the pyramids, and instead of relaxing and enjoying my time and, value for my money, what did I do? I filmed everything. I was working. I filmed the entire event. I made an amazing video that no one else, even their own team, did a video like this. It was just little bits of videos here and there. I made an entire movie and I gave it to them. I sent them an email. I gave it to them. I was like, I made this for you guys. Let's partner. Let's publish this together so the people who missed that event, they can, still be a part of it and get all the knowledge. Then I made it, and they never answered. The movie was never published. Nobody knows about it. 20 people saw it, So all the efforts for nothing. Encyclopedia, 2 years. 2 years. This is just half of it. It's 2 books. The encyclopedia, 2 years making they said I had to write a book. I wrote a book to promote everyone. I took all their content, I promoted all that, how we work with the symbolism, how the language got to another level, how you transferring light codes when you're speaking, the power of languages. This is why so many people can be fooled, because you can use the language for positive outcomes and you can use the language to manipulate people. And this is what the media and even the governments, they are doing all the time. They're trying to brainwash you, seduce you with their speeches, and make the fables of Jean de La Fontaine with the corbeau et le renard, and he's like complimenting him so he can let the cheese go, and then he's deprived from his own meal. And this is what they do all the time. They're trying to seduce you, so then you're like, oh, maybe they are good people. They are trying to establish a bridge. They are trying to respond to your goals. And I think in Israel, what they're doing right now, it was good to target nuclear weapons, before they build it. But now Billy Carson added to that they said it's just a pretext because they've been saying this for many years, just to justify the conflicts, just to justify, like, you see how the wars are just being going from a side to another. It's just the proof that the weapon lobbies are just trying to build conflicts wherever they can so they just can sell their stuff. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable. They want you to be nice, or they want you to be conform. So you have to date who they say you're dating. You have to work where they say you have to work. You have to say what they want you to say. We're all friends. They hate each other, but they're all friends. Hypocrisy. But in the meanwhile, you have people dying. They're bombing cities. That's unacceptable. So, of course, after a while, you can be tired and be like, okay, now, you are not going to take another minute of my summer. You are not going to take another minute of my time with my son and this beautiful life that I've built here. And all this content wasted that nobody sees. But I'm just kidding. Do you really think I'm going to give up after all I did, guys? I didn't even stay married because I couldn't stand just to live and be content and watch Netflix. And I did all this to make it on my own. And now I have no one to stop me. And you think I'm going to give up right now? Guys, you're crazy. We are just about to unleash the best spaceships in the history of the world, okay? All we need to do is work together with the International Space Federation, SpaceX, and give people credit. We're publishing content online for free. Of course, we're serving humanity. I'm so honored that people took my content. You see, I keep posting all the time. How do I need to convince you anymore? I post things like even the crypto. I invested into crypto 3 years ago, because I had a friend who was saying, I live off of passive income with my crypto. And I was like, hook me up. I want to know. Teach me about it. And he taught me, and I invested $500 that more than doubled in a month. So I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. This is going to get me out of my debt. I had $12,000 in debt in my credit cards after my divorce. I couldn't find a job. I accumulated debt. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's working. So I went and I did a big mistake. I went out and took $5,000 of my credit cards. And I was like, I'm going to double that. And then I'm going to put everything back on my credit card. And I'm going to have half of my debt pay off, right? Like that. And I was like, this is going to back me up. This is going to save my life. So I grabbed $5,000 for my credit card, even maybe more. I think it was $7,000. And I put it all on my crypto. So I was bold. I took the chance. Maybe some people are going to tell me you were stupid, And I created a mastermind to teach people how to do it, because I was convinced it was going to save my life and that I was going to help other people do the same thing. I created a mastermind called Become Your Own Bank, right? Unfortunately, crypto, I'm not saying it doesn't work, it works, but it's a full-time job. It's like everything. You want to succeed in something, you get in that thing, and you just do that, and you're focusing. It's a full-time job. You have to move to your crypto, you have to follow the trends and stuff. If you think you're just going to put your money there and let it work for you, it's not. It's a lie. Okay, you have to be following or have someone follow for you. But anyways, I didn't have time for that because I was focused on my book and everything. So my funds crashed and I lost everything. And that's what put me in really this one. I was in the abyss because that put me even more in debt and stuff like that. But long story short, 2 months later, guess who creates a crypto workshop and calls it Become Your Own Bank? Billy Carson. And this was just the story of my life since I came here, and I shared content with everyone saying that it was for service and that if people were not paying for my stuff, at least they would benefit from the knowledge. They took it. They made their mastermind workshops. They sold this stuff, all the men. Why? Why the men are so successful? Because who buys? The women. The women are the ones who are trying to educate themselves, who are, looking for the wisdom, and who are more attracted. They see men successful, wise, respectful, all in appearance, all role models. So of course we're attracted to that. You're like, oh my God, I didn't have a lot of role models in my life when I was a kid. Whatever, your family was a mess, or I had my dad, but we're not like super close talking about like these kind of topics and stuff like that. So you're like, oh my God, these are the role models that I want in my life, that I want to learn from, that I want to work with. So of course they become successful because the women are the one buying. But how many women do you see there being successful? They're all at home taking care of their kids, and then they're being reproached that they're not doing enough. Of course, if you're stealing their content and making millions of dollars, and then you're censoring them and telling them, oh, it's because your mindset is not right, you have to command it. Yeah, I command it, I get kicked out. Yeah, no, you have to, know your value. Yeah, you know your value. And when you know your value, they're telling you, oh, she's overconfident. She needs to be humble. And then they humble you, and they're like, oh, that's because you don't believe. Like, bullshit, guys. Oh my God, so much BS. That's just disrespectful. I'm so honored and frustrated at the same time. I think that's understandable. Honored to share all that, and there was the attention, and just having this back and forth with superstars and leaders, in success in all fields. But that's just very disrespectful when you know that you're grinded and you represent a whole cast of single moms, of middle classes, of artists, of people who want to be involved, who want to have a voice, who want to have a seat at the table, who do the work every weekend while my friends were at the beach, when they're out partying, or they're watching movies, or my ex is there, living his romance, whatever. Like, I was working day and night in the weekend. I work at the school, still working on that in the weekend. I did all the work. To show that it's possible if you listen, everything that I promoted. And now you think you're gonna, guys, leave me behind? Can't get rid of me. I thought you knew that by now. And we have Russia that is finally listening. They're like, okay, we want that person. They want me to be at the UN because they know that I'm not lying. They know I'm not a liar. I live with integrity. I always try to promote both sides because I traveled all around the world, and I know that we are the same. I've lived in the Middle East, and they welcomed me like so respectfully, like family. Everywhere I went, they cook for you. They're just so nice. That's not what they want to show in the media. You open X, oh my God, this platform, I'm sorry, but all you see is people being killed and wars. It's so stressful. Yes, it's good to have the awareness, and we need to know what's going on. But I feel like it normalizes violence, and it makes people feel like if I'm violent, if I do this garbage, I'm going to be featured in the news. While the people who are doing great things, they are never featured in the news, or they are featured for a moment and then back into the abyss. That's why I love the United Nations, because they're close to the people. They're doing events everywhere. They talk about all this topic. This is what I want to do every day of my life. Being a teacher, I love it. Yes, it starts into the classroom, but this is what I was doing when I was in Peru. And I came in America with a mission of spreading the Pachamama. In school, you can do that. You have a curriculum and you follow what they're telling you. I'm a creator. I'm doing my own curriculum. That you leave that for the young people. I'm not came here to do what I was doing 10 years ago, or to go back in relationships, the same thing that I had 5 years ago. If I'm leaving stuff behind, it's because I'm moving forward. Yes, of course, the luxury, the comforts. But comfort doesn't save the world. Like, I can have my own little comfort, and all the impact I will have in my life is to create the legacy for my son, which is already big. But I know I have the power to create a legacy for many, 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 many. And it starts with this book. So let's talk about the book. So you see, believing in the magic, persistence, the KK cross, the network, the beauty, the double-sided also, that I always talk about bipolarity, how you can be super grateful and humbled and motivated, and at the same time you can be aggravated and frustrated, and you have to be the revolution and the voice that other people maybe can't say because the backlash, would be too big. And then the Pachamama, the spiral, symbol of Pachamama, and of course the spaceships, which we are working on making right now. And the diamond, well, this is the symbol of partnerships and alliances in all ways, shape, and form. So yes, guys, if you're tired of the lies, I am. So let's start this review of the Pachamama Art Encyclopedia. This is not the cover. The cover, it has all of you guys' logos. So let's look at our table of content. Nice to meet you. Social-cultural manners around the world. The language of art. Art therapy, who, why, and how. So this is an introduction. And this is also the very same outline that I use in my classes with my students when I teach them to write an essay. You always want to introduce your topic. And the manners is to welcome people. Because in America, believe it or not, it's the only country where I was really treated like garbage. Like I came here in Jacksonville, all the women were jealous. I was harassed by entire city. That was horrible. But you know what? I stayed, nothing stopped me. And I'm still here and I made it. Nobody told me, all my family told me, go back to France, just give up. My ex-husband is like, go back to France, you're not going to be able to afford all this. My friends, they were like, oh, so you're going to leave? Like, I was like, everybody wanted me to leave. That's crazy how they all want to decide for you. But what you want, nobody else can know what you want, what you have inside of you. Literally, don't let anyone tell you better because see, I made it. I made it. I'm still here and I even rescued a dog and I kept painting and the network got bigger and bigger. And digital, let's talk about digital influence. Because it seems like, oh, she's not doing much. It's all digital. I did all the stuff. I did the markets. I did the exhibitions. I had people come here for workshops. We had lots of people come here for my workshops and stuff. But I got in debt for it because people don't want to pay. Or I was spending so much time on just marketing to get people here and money on marketing that I just got in debt, So I stopped. I said, I'm not going to continue doing things that is little. Like people, they don't want to invest into art. It's like my friend Marina, she's an esthetician. She does facial treatments and stuff like that. She created her own business. She's so talented, so smart, like genius. She stopped her business. Why? Because people don't invest into their beauty. People don't invest into art. This is not their priority. Everybody's broke. Oh yeah, the government, they're gonna cut the waste and fraud so people can benefit. Oh, really? Where did we benefit? Under Biden, at least, they created new schools. They improved the neighborhood. They were welcoming people. They were helping. Okay, maybe there is a deficit. A deficit on what? It's all on the computers. It's all numbers on the computers. Just reset that shit. It means nothing. You look at the Earth from space. Mostly that drives me crazy because someone like Elon Musk that has such a higher vision goes to space, and when all the astronauts, when they look at Earth and they come back from space, they say, it just makes you feel like we're so tiny, we're in such a precious little planet, humanity is so precious, you go to space, there's nothing, and we create our own struggle, we create our own wars, we create our own debts, we're keeping all the countries tied up by debt. It's just numbers on a computer, like literally reset the computers. It's so intangible that is just the worst scam of history to keep people enslaved. And then I receive a paper saying, you are overpaying for your car, your interest rate, you're paying 18% interest rate, because this is the only loan I could get with my credit score for my car. So the poorest people pay the highest interest, and those who don't need a loan, they get low interest. How crazy! The society works backwards. But I'm glad I saw that. I know for a fact that this is an experience that I had to live, because if I didn't live it myself, I couldn't have been so compassionate. I couldn't have been so revolted. Like when I went to the dentist, and like if you have insurance, it's that price. If you don't have insurance, it's double the price. What? That should be the opposite. People who can't afford an insurance, then they have a lower price. Like that's everything is backwards, to keep the low classes low and not bringing the revolt in the oligarchs. So chapter 2, mandala art, painting a background, emotion. So nice to meet you. Really, not really. All the spirit community, when I went to see them, it was like, barely high, making me feel like I was a parasite, or being like, yeah, let's work together. Yeah, even though I'm taking your content, I named my book like your oracle. I named my workshops like your workshops. I'm making money out of it, but, let's work together really soon, and I'm still waiting. That's so crazy, but don't worry. I'll be fine, whatever. It's just trying to connect everyone, and then they all connected and they left me aside. It's like, wow. Okay, loyalty, I discovered the meaning of loyalty. Like, you can't force other people to be who you want them to be. You can't. You can't force. But I decided to be loyal. I decided to be the example. I was like, there's no loyalty, they fire. People come, even at work, like people come and they're so important, and the day they leave, it's like, okay, bye. There's no trying to keep you, or, sometimes, yes. I'm not complaining, because my work is so, like, they've been so supportive of me and all of that. So I'm always lucky, but because I work my butt off, and they see it. When you live with integrity, they see it. But just when I see people come and go, it always makes me feel like we're nothing, friends, you're here, okay, cool, yeah, okay, but they're not really going to change their plans or whatever for you. In the end, you're really alone. And I want it to be different. I wanted to show the power of loyalty when you don't let people down. Of course, there needs to be a reciprocity. If I'm doing everything and you never do anything back for me, like not just like the digital game, but actually making things happen, or people who want to stay with you and they don't really do anything in return. It's a one-way relationship. It can't last, but you can still be the example that says, okay, I'm going to be different. So emotions and color spectrum. So painting a background. So this whole workshop is 3 chapters. The first chapter is creating an outline, okay, which is also welcome to Mandala Land. The second chapter is creating a design. No, sorry. The first one is creating a background for an artwork. So the background, but also in the figurative language, like what's your background? What's your story? Welcome. How do you meet people? Learning about the symbolism, the cultures. You can't talk to people the same way depending on their culture or depending on their experience. If you're talking to a homeless person, you can't be here complaining, oh my God, I don't have my dream job. No, my life, many people would dream just to have my life. but I worked for it. I worked for it. Everything I attracted in my life is because I worked for it. I never let go. So now I'm here, and then this is my next step. This is how we, the middle class, we climb the staircase to be able to have a voice and to come and save the others if they don't want to come and save you. Then we'll do it. Since the beginning, I'm like, man, when I make it, I'm going to help all my friends. But it's very difficult to make it. So the logos and spirit animals, this stuff is so passionating. I've learned animal communication. I've learned to trust my intuition, to understand how channeling works. And the digital is really what empowers the people who see that. Empowers because we have confirmations all the time. So all these confirmations, they actually bring you back to your power and be like, oh man, I'm such a powerful channel. I can channel great ideas, great insight. I can understand stuff, even though I'm not a expert scientist. I'm basic scientist. I still can understand complicated stuff and make them look easy and connect people. So number 2, creating an outline. So it's all about mental programming, of course, learning about the symbols, the flower of life, the Taurus, the prophecies, the energy healing, the power of symbols and subtle communication. Then we have design ready activities. So put it in context that this can be a team building workshop for the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, going to every country or every event and stuff and organize 3 days workshops. Okay, or you can go to a company and you're doing a full week workshops. In 3 days, they're gonna create a painting about that size. Maybe in a week they could create that, but they wouldn't just be painting what they're painting. I'll be teaching, and then people get this training and they can buy the book and they can teach also in their company. Okay, it's just like the human rights consultant certification. They teach you something that you're supposed to go ahead and teach also. Then I'm giving, so there is also a vision board workshop. So that is that is building network. Okay, how do you promote other people that will serve the same goal and the same mission as you, so you can amplify it and echo and make it more efficient. So my idols of all time, of course, the Naval Postgraduate School. So it's a military program. I tell my students who want to become military, I tell them, do your master's degree, go in the Navy or in whatever military branch you want, and become an officer right away. And I took one of my students the other day. I just showed him, I took him to my house and I was like, see, that's paid by the military. And, we have special loans. They have all the advantage for the families. And he was like, oh, wow, miss, your house is like crazy and stuff. And I was like, I hope that serves you as a motivation to go and do your degree, because you could have this in 10 years, and if you don't get your degree and you go the slow route and you're going to, climb every steps, you could have this in 30 years, So I was like, maybe do a little bit more efforts at the beginning, so then you can enter at high level, just like I'm trying to do at the United Nations. I created all this content, knowledge, and that now I'm hoping to get at high level so I can be that voice of the middle classes and spread the good manners, spread the values, loyalty, integrity, and truth, not hypocrisy, not seemingly compliments, but behind your back. I'm sponsoring wars. I don't know. Listen, it's really difficult to have an opinion about what's going on in the world right now, because sometimes there's strategy, and it's great for me. Everything that targets weapons, everything that targets nuclear facilities, everything that targets, wars, bases, let's get rid of it. I caution that, even though it should be done in a safe way. But some people are not as advanced in mentality, and they're very belligerent, and they're very ignorance, let's say. So it's hard to discuss. So sometimes you have to take it by force. If we all decide, okay, now we're getting rid of nuclear weapons, we're getting rid of missiles and stuff like that, then we have to agree and take it. Now, do they use that again as a pretext to start new conflicts? You can't be sure. You have to trust. You know, do you think it's better to be naive and give a chance to trust and trust it, our elected presidents, and trust our leaders? Yes, I believe so. I want to trust. I prefer to be betrayed, and because I trusted and because I see the good in people and I see the possibility, then rather than not trusting anyone and being always in conflicts and stuff like that, you know. So if you see me that I'm yelling and I'm getting mad, is because I really, really feel like we're being betrayed. But there's also one thing that I really wanted to say, is that there is an International Court of Justice, okay, that is agreed by all the countries of the United Nations, that is meant to respect international laws. And this has been disrespected, completely ignored by so many countries and leaders. The genocide in Gaza. So now Netanyahu, he thinks that because he's trying to be the hero against Iran, that we're going to forget how the genocide against the Israeli people in Gaza. There needs to be accountability. Like, I went to jail for scratching someone's ear during a minor fight, and I even called the police to come and help me, and they sent me to jail for that, like for scratching someone's eye to defend myself. That's crazy. And now they're killing millions of people, and they're still here making videos on Instagram, on X, and free to talk. And they're going to the United Nations freely, going to America. Nobody's arresting them. What the heck? Seriously, like it's not me who decided that. It's the International Criminal Court said that this man is is a war criminal. But nothing's happening. They're doing wars. War is legal. So killing is illegal. Okay, civilian killing is illegal. But as long as the military, and they're forcing people to go into wars in Ukraine, to ask for billions and billions and billions, that's okay. Okay. The self-education, so NPS, why do I support NPS? Because this is where we start. Because exactly what I was saying, if the military is the one who has obviously all the rights, then we need to start there, to educate the military and have them not brainwash them into following orders, but saying no when you have to go and kill people. You're defending, okay, unless it's terrorism. But right now, the only terrorism there is on the planet is in Hamas. The rest is just diplomatic conflicts that needs to be solved peacefully by the military. So NPS changed the programs, the curriculums to nuclear removal safety. That's what they're doing in their own way, by the way. So they listened. In one way, okay, it's not exactly what we said, but they're still doing it. So there is progress. The self-education revolution with the mastermind. So this confidence and perseverance, that's the voice from the masterminds. All this voice that says, I might as well give up. Why did I do all this time wasted? I could be with my son. I'm like, no, that's not time wasted. That's time invested for a better future, because, I left a life to be someone that my son looks up to, that is like, wow, she's really making a difference. She's, and other people too, and that's why I believe strongly. That's why I was sent for all this, after all this journey, how do you call it? Self-development journey, but travels in South America and stuff like that. The Yosoi Pass, of course, I reported everything from Egypt, the fire letters, the evolution of the alphabet, the Resonance Science Foundation, Forbidden Knowledge, the Emerald Tablets, Robert Edward Grant, Genius also, I get it, they were like, okay, they saw something in me from the beginning, and that gave me the strength to continue and try to make them proud and bring all this team to the governments, to the United Nations. That's my goal. They refuse to have me in any of their podcasts, in any of their community, because they're like, this is not where you should be. You should be at the government. You should be at the United Nations. You should be where our voice of the initiates and all this esoteric knowledge that is proven by science nowadays could go and leave its legacy there. So that's the mission that they gave me. So I linked everyone with the Metatrons Cube and the social media. I linked everyone. And I also listen. I'm not a snob saying I don't want to hang out with my people. I know, but my mission is not that. My mission is to bring our struggles and the solutions and to bring it at massive level so everybody can benefit. Not just be here in my little house and 5 people see it once in a year. This is massive. This is important. This is like the Egyptian gods. This is the modern spirituality, the modern magic. And once everybody knows, first, the mindset of success, how you can still make it when you struggle. If everybody had that, and also the trying to help each other, and the loyalty towards each other, and just caring, and just the compassion, trying to put yourself in other people's shoes, then you would know. Like, for example, my friend who stayed here, and I always say, she's attacking me, I get sick every time she comes here, but I also put myself in her shoes, and I told her right away, I was like, I know you're a good person. I know you're a good person, like almost an angel, but you've been on defense mode for so long. You've been on, so disappointed by people and let down, that the energies you've built around you, the shield you've built around you, is attacking every single person that comes close to you. And right now it's acting like an energy vampire, even though you're an angel. So I'm sorry, you need help. Right now I can't help you because nobody's helping me. The little bit of savings that I can manage to get, they don't never stay long, because a little inconvenience in a lifetime in the middle class can just ruin all your efforts of many months or many years. But I will come back for them, and I will help them. But it has to ripple down. You can't ask the people that are just barely making it to take charge of everyone else, even though etherically I think I did, because there's a lot of people that came around that just found, I have so many people that come, they're like, oh, I got the job I wanted. Oh my God, I'm getting married. Oh, I found love. And I was like, all the stuff that I'm trying to promote, and people find it, and I'm like, I know it's because the energies that I'm manipulating around people, and they grasp it, and the blessings come to them. So I'm happy for them. I'm happy about that. The vision board workshop, 6 stages of acceptation. Very important. I think this is one of the most basic things that we should teach to everyone who wants to work in diplomacy, the 6 stages of acceptation. First, you're ignored. Okay? You have a car passing by in front of your house. You don't care. It's just a car passing by. Right? You're not really paying attention. Now, if you see that car passing by slowly and coming back 5 times, 5 days in a row, now you start paying attention, right? So the things that you really don't care about, you're ignoring or you're not listening. Then, if you see it come back many times, like some stuff, like a truth, you hear it coming back many times, then you start paying attention. You're like, oh, I've heard that before, but I don't agree with that. Okay, but you're going to start questioning it, but you're already paying attention to it. So you're going to start questioning it. What is that car that keeps like passing by? I'm going to stop the car. I'm going to ask them, what do you do? Who are you? What are you doing? Can I help you? So once people start questioning things, it's not negative. It means that there is a little door opening within them that is ready to receive new information, even though they're against it at the beginning. So that's why the politicians and stuff, they say there's no bad publicity, because as long as you're presenting their truth and stuff like that, the people talk about them, that's all they want. Unfortunately, they should be, I feel like when you're at the level such as the president, head of governments or head of big organizations, you should be listening to people. And that's why we are loud, because people always tell me, oh, you speak really loud. And I was like, because I feel like no one's listening, so I am so loud. And then they accept the truth. If someone, then when it becomes massive and generalized, then they accept it. Accept the truth. It doesn't mean that it's the correct things. A lot of people, they accept things because they see it all over the place. So, like a good sheep, they will accept it because everybody tells them that. And sometimes it's good when you're bringing a new consciousness and you're bringing more awareness. For example, I think one very important thing is about every religion, being aware of other religions and beliefs and cultures without denying your own. This is very important to understand, or learning about the gaps in society. Like I was talking about the prices, the interest rates, and insurance policies and stuff like that. But sometimes the more they see the lie, and the more they're going to accept it. Like if everybody becomes a racist in this country and start attacking people, I'm all about removing criminals, but if you're attacking people while they're waiting for their legal appointment with the judge, they're trying to set their papers straight, going to graduations, schools, people have to hide. You can't even promote culture anymore because it's persecuted. And people see this more and more, and then it becomes normalcy. And that's very dangerous. So always keep this critical mindset that you're not just accepting everything. Questioning is actually a great mark of intelligence. So you don't want to be the grumpy person who's never agrees with anything, always complaining without offering any solutions. Always criticize but offer solution. Okay, questions but offer solutions. And this is what we do at our school, by the way. Biden, they opened the borders. They had all these immigrants come in. So what did we do? We responded with solutions. We created programs to welcome them. We were like, we got you. We got you, guys. We're finding solutions. What are we? Retards? What are we? Like, there's no space in America? There's no houses? They're building the houses, the immigrants. They're the one building the houses. They're the one doing all the dirty works that we don't want to do because they're paying nothing. And now they're kicking them out? What? This is just, this is unbelievable. I can't. This is Nazis, Hitler. Genocide. Like, they were the native. If you want to play that game, they were native before we were even there. This is their land. They put borders by force, by killing, that everybody had to accept. Okay, All right, let's not go that route. It's part of history. Now we got new borders, blah, blah, blah. But still, it's like someone is going to come and like squat your house. And then they're like, okay, now it's my house. Whatever. Finally, the next stage is promotion. Promotion, and finally, harmony. You start promoting it, acceptance, promoting, and then harmony, when everybody doesn't have to agree, but everybody has different solutions and different ways to build this lifestyle. Intention setting, brainstorming, and visualization. The importance of visualizing your life. What would my life be like in a year if I'm still here doing the same thing? Then I will still be where I was 10 years ago. I'll be failing my mission, you know? And where would I be 1 year ago if I'm in New York City and my paintings are in the UNESCO and I'm teaching this to other people and I'm bringing my network, all the sacred knowledge. Like, people just need inspiration. People just need to be intellectual. You know, start thinking a little bit instead of just be like, oh, I'll fight it. I gotta fight them. You know, I was like, come on. Education, when you find something you're passionate with, so for some people it's maybe not gonna be that. For me, that's the kind of stuff I love. But for some people, it'll be sports. For some other people, it'll be just politics, whatever. You can have many. But that's a big part, because I feel like human consciousness, like humans are questions who they are. What is my purpose? This is something that's inherent to every human being. Who I am. What is my purpose? How can I do better? Like, should I be content? And for some people, their family is everything. Like my best friend Alice, that's her family is everything. As long as she has her family around, that's it. They don't need to go conquer the world. You know, they're like, okay, we have a big family. But me, I've never been a big family person. Like, I haven't seen my family for 4 years and I miss them and everything, but I know I always felt like I have a big mission and then I need to do big things. I know maybe that's, you know, even when I had my family and I was just a housewife, I was like, that's cool. I have the comfort. I have my family. I don't have to work. I mean, even though I was kind of like pushed to work and stuff. I mean, I was doing this work, but he was more like, that's not real work. That's just a pastime, you know? And I had a long-term vision, and it was hard for other people to understand it. But I always feel like I had to do big things, like go against the nuclear weapons, go against the wars, go, you know, in politics. And I know sometimes I yell at the politicians, but I admire them nonetheless. And I just wanted to be a part of it, because the best way to change a system that you don't agree with is to become a part of it, okay? And to go and change it from the inside. The value ladder, so financial survival, that is a lesson. I have a lot of good lessons and advice for people who are struggling financially. Do not spend the money you don't have. Do not live off of credit cards unless you really have to. And don't put your faith on people if they're not showing interest. You know, they say, knock at the door. At some point it will open. But I think this is just taking a lot of your dignity, you know. And if you really need to have this core feeling, and you will know, because if it's just a pastime or a short idea that's not gonna last, then it's not gonna last. You will give up, you know. Like I don't know, trying to find an example of something that I started and I was like, but like the crypto, for example, I was all about the crypto. I was like, this is so cool, blah blah blah, but that's not really my passion. I don't really care. I just gave up, and this is how I lost my money. But the esoteric stuff, the United Nations, the politics, like having a voice at the world table and stuff, this is where I was born with. So if I'm born for something and I'm not going for it, then I'm just missing my entire life. And you will know. You start doing something, and if you never get tired of it, then that becomes your life mission. Okay? And after a few closed doors, you will know if it's your life mission or not. Because if after a few closed doors, you're like, screw this, I'm going to do something else, and you don't feel like you're wasting your life, then maybe that's not your life mission. And you shouldn't lose your dignity over people who don't really open the door for you. Go with the people, attract your people. But if it's your life mission and you're trying to save a whole generation, and you see the governments, they're destroying the planet and they're destroying bombs, and you feel like you could solve it, maybe overestimating myself, okay? But at least if you believe you can, you're gonna have more chance to become a good, significant part of it than if you believe you're insignificant and you're powerless. So I know here I'm powerless, even though my voice is powerful. And the digital, what do people do? The first thing they open in the morning is open their phone. Okay, digital is people's mindset nowadays. So digital does have an impact, but then you also need to have the credibility and the leverage and the status for people to listen and take you seriously. So many times I give such valuable advices to my friends and they just don't listen, but I know the day I become someone, they will listen. And that's why it's important. So financial survival, if you have too many credit card debts, just do a national debt relief program. That saved my life. It's a no interest program. There's big fees, but I believe the fees will still be lower than the interest. And just find a job. Oh my God, like so many people that I know, moms, that are like, oh, I don't want to go back to being a teacher. Oh no, I don't want to go find a job. I'm here for my kids. Oh, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want, there's a lot of the stuff they don't want to do. But they're not happy with their situation. So I'm like, if you're financially independent, you can have that luxury of saying, no, I'm not doing this or I'm doing that. But if you have to feed your family, like I was 2 years ago, I was like, I don't want to be a teacher again because this is what I did 10 years ago. I want to move on, but at the same time, people wanted to see that I could work. They wanted to see, I don't know, people don't know you. So, and I was like, no matter what, it's not even for others, it's for me and my son. I have to pay, I have money, I know how to teach. This is one thing, I don't need no preparation. I know how to teach. I've done it all my life. Everywhere you go, they need teachers because it's difficult. It's difficult. Like some people can barely take care of their own kids. They have 2-3 kids in the house. They can barely take care of their own kids. How are you going to go teach 30? It's very difficult. So we have a lot of benefits. We have the holidays, and stuff, but it's very difficult. No, it's not for everyone. But I did it. That helped me get out of the abyss. Then the law of attraction, looking for a job and how to write a motivation letter. So let me show you, of course, because I'm telling you, but I'm not showing you anything. So I shared in this book all my motivation letters because, I've been looking for a job for a long time. And so I share all my motivation letters, how to write a letter. There's just a lot of content. This can be for young graduates, or it can be for adults. It can be for so many. Where are all right, law of attraction. Okay, writing a cover letter. See, I once had a roommate who just got to America. I was trying to help her get settled. So she moved in and did so much to find paperwork and find a job. But the days were passing quickly and she ran out of money. So I asked her what she wanted to do and she freaked out. She told me she didn't want to talk about it and get stressed because her mindset was right and she was going to attract everything. Of course, that has happened to me before to super manifest, but after coming to America, working so much and manifesting a lot of problems, all part of the plan of building an empire, I told her that I had been struggling for 2 years and that I guarantee it's not going to show up at the door. Literally, like it's not. I've dreamt of it countless time, wrote it, meditated it, because it worked for other chicks. But Prince Charming did not show up with $1 million and flowers. But Metatron did. And here is how it works. If having the best mindset in the world only attracted goodness, why would amazing women be abused? Why would great leaders have haters? And why would my perfect life turn into a disaster? Okay, so no, having the right mindset is not necessarily going to attract what you need. If you just sit there meditating by the pool, that you're going to have an amazing job offer, $5,000 a month, and you haven't done any work for it, not even applied for it, no, they're not coming, okay? That can work depending on your journey. Of course, when I was in Peru, I found a job very easily, even though it was very difficult actually to get a resident visa. And I came there with a tourist visa, and to find someone who sponsored my visa and turn it into a work visa and stuff, that was very difficult. But somehow, for me, it was very easy. And it was a very big stress at the time. But looking back, I was like, wow, I really nailed that. And I found an apartment, just like lots of synchronicities. But in America, it's different because the cultural factor. You can't forget about the cultural factor. Here, the mentality is work, grind, work. It's not about living and being. Maybe in California, but they probably are the son of, because it's very expensive in California. But here's how the tablets of emerald changed my perception about my situation. Then spoke a voice mighty and solemn, saying, "These are lights that are sold among men, growing and fading, existing forever, changing yet living through death into life. When they have bloomed into flower, reach the zenith of growth in their life, swiftly dance in a veil of darkness, shrouding and changing to new forms of life, steadily upward throughout the ages, growing, expanding," where am I? "And yet greater flame, lightening the darkness with greater power, quenched yet unquenched by the veil of the night. So grows the soul of man ever upward, quenched yet unquenched by the darkness of night. I, death, come, and yet I remain not, for life eternal exists in the all. Only an obstacle, I in the pathway, quick to be conquered by the infinite light. Awaken, O flame that burns ever inward, flame forth and conquer the veil of night." So I remember that I was kind of in a tunnel, and I couldn't get out of this tunnel until a lot of people that were in a tunnel with me would come out. It wasn't just a solo mission to just get myself out of it. It was a mission to get a lot of people also out of there. So yeah. But there was a lot of other passages. But you see here, I'm putting the job offers from the United Nations. That's to show a little bit of their mission, what they do, what kind of people work there. My motivation letter, this one for social affairs at the United Nations, but I think in the new version I changed it for another one. The leadership voice, this was a great interview by Robert Grant. He was saying, "You bet behind the people. I can't bet behind ideas, but I bet behind people. Everything comes down to how they see themselves and who look for a higher purpose. I like to bet on people that already have that way of seeing the world. Believe in yourself." Okay, and he talks about people with high skill and high will, low skill and high will. He said that these are the more challenging one, but you should try anything in your power to hold on to them, because even if you have low skill and high will, you will learn on the way. And then they have people with high skill and high will, like the superstars, and then you have people with high skill and low will. And this is the energy vampires, right? The people who come and they have skills, but they're either gonna think they're so good that they don't, the little boss, they're gonna control everyone, but they're not really gonna do anything, or they're gonna be complaining. They think they know it all. Like some people, they just think they know everything, and they're not teachable. And people with low skill and low will, they shouldn't even make it to the interview process. But focus, anticipate the future, and measure the results. But also, I feel like now it should be more about who you are as a person than the skills, because everybody's able, it's just more about aligning to your life mission. So chakra balancing around the world. So we have some chakra balancing in the traditional way to see it, and then we have the ninja. Okay, you have a more like circular version. This is how I found how I created this Metatrons painting with the anti-gravity equation, seeing how it interacts together, and I was like, this is actually a system. You see how that element map made me think about the Tesseract in Interstellar. And then you're really able to time travel. There is some information about Egypt, okay, like the family line, Egyptian oil. So this is a workshop with Egyptian oil. So I have some oils from Egypt, and to work on the chakra involving your sense, like the sense of smell. So depending on where you're going, there's some cultures like the Muslim culture, the Arabs, or Indians, they love strong smells because they have spices, and also linked to their beliefs, so they're very loud when they speak. All the senses are very strong because they feel their faith is very deep within them. They have all these coats of skins and layer to protect them. So it's okay if you're touching them. It's okay if you're loud. They have to have that feeling, the strong senses, because it needs to get to the core of who you are to find your soul, your divinity. It's really hidden deep in there. Okay? And this is why also the women, like they hide themselves, it's like within. When you have other cultures like the Chinese, for example, or Japanese, that are more, for them, God is everything, is in the elements, is everything around them, okay? So their social distance is a lot bigger, they salute each other like this from a distance. Their personal zone, is what for us would be a social zone. Okay, so this you learn depending on the culture. The Ma, which is their divinity, the Japanese, is everywhere. Okay, so they respect the environment. They respect distances because they feel like everything is an intrusion to their divinity. They speak quietly. Okay, they don't want to disrupt the divine order. They don't even say no. The Japanese, you can do business with Japanese people. They say yes all the time. Yes. Then they report to the boss, and they're like, just gonna cut you off because they don't say no. So you think you're doing business, they're like, yes, and then it's no. While you have other cultures that are very direct. In America, they're gonna tell you no. Or in America, it's even worse because they're playing with you like a toy, and then they discard you, and they test you to see how resilient you are and how much you want it. No, it's like they're really taking the dignity out of people, but they're also testing you to see who really wants it and who really has this to be a life mission. I don't think the United Nations is a job that you go for a year or two, just to have it on your resume. It's more a life mission, and you go there and you stay there and you accomplish things in many years. When I got divorced, I always said, in 6 months, I'm going to be all set. In 6 months, I'm going to have my new job. I'm going to pay off my credit cards. I'm going to be ready. I'm going to save up. I'm going to start paying my mortgage in full and everything. And then 5 years later, I'm still at it. And sometimes you overestimate what you can do in a year, but you underestimate what you can do in 5 or 10. And this is where I am now. I'm like, now it's just a matter of people saying yes and making this spaceship become real, making these workshops happen. The foundation is created. Chapter 3, Life in Colors, Mandala Art, filling the gap. So if you have downloaded my encyclopedia, you can do it right now on my website, so you can follow at the same time. pachamamaart.com/pachamamaart little thing encyclopedia. Okay, and you can download it for free. So the chakra balancing, the chakra adventure, this stuff is really real. Like every time I do a healing session about the third eye chakra, for example, or one of my friends, like Marcy from Healing with Love and Healing with Numbers, she does Reiki. Every time she would do a third eye opening things, like you see them, they're like doing their Reiki things, right? But all of a sudden, I'm like, bro, I receive an information, I go online or whatever, and I see something that I was like, oh man, I can't believe I didn't see that, or I can start seeing clearly, like, you really can. You don't know what you don't know. So sometimes we prefer the blind lie, than the truth. Like, I always take this example because I've been a smoker since I was very young, and like my mom she never saw it because she was so convinced. Like, she would tell everyone, oh, my daughter never smoked, I was like, okay. I would do it like in the house, in my room, at the window. Literally, she'd be in the house, I'd be underneath the porch smoking, like in the same house. Like, she wouldn't smell, she wouldn't see. That was crazy. I was like, how does she not see? And I always take this example because when you don't want to see, you just don't see, unless someone is brutally honest with you and shows you the truth. Or sometimes you do an eye-opening session. And it's just like right now, I'm like, this summer is my summer. I've given you guys all my time for the past 5 years, all my energy. My son, I took good care of my son. This time was a blessing. I love last night, Saturday night, I was laying down in my bed with my 2 cats, and I was like, I wouldn't trade this for anything. Like, that was so cool. Just like the best Saturday night. And I was like, we need this just this summer. I'm not going to do that for life, but just this summer to enjoy our peace, go outside, stop doing videos every day. Sorry guys, I'm going to miss you, and I'm so grateful for your support. But I had enough of these little games. You know where to find me if you want me to work with you. I will be great and loyal. And look at the truth, is everywhere I work, they try to keep me. I've never been fired of a job ever. I've always quit because I was moving on to new journey. And that's how I am. This is the longest I've ever been somewhere. For me, this is really weird. I've been in the same place for 8 years. I have never been doing that. But I had my son, so he went like 6 months. Prophecies and the hero's journey. Imagine, the future is now. So let me page 450. Okay, prophecies and hero's journey. So imagine, that was beautiful when we all started working together and they put doors. These doors, they are very, very real. Time traveling is so real. We always altering the scheme of time. This is a beautiful picture from Egypt. The only picture ever of me that was published by someone in the spiritual community. That's my butt right here. That's me. Yeah, they gave it all they got, but that's a cool one though. Right in front of the Pyramid of Giza with my group. Yeah, that was cool. So the scholarship program for the Resonance Science Foundation. This is all the workshop that we did. These are other artists. So I promote a lot of other people also. These are other artists that I love. Studio Gaia in Brazil, and rainbow tree art also from France. They're doing mandalas and sacred geometry on wood. This is another lady that that disappeared. See, people disappeared. Beautiful woman, never met her. Kyla Lance, she had this Instagram page. She was doing all these dot arts, and we were not competitors. We would always cheer on each other. That was so cool. And she had an autistic child, and her husband was sick with cancer. Last time I saw her on social media, and this woman never complained. She was always like grateful, doing her little market, selling her amazing art for probably nothing, and I was like, wow, this is the way to go, this is the way to do markets. Actually, I'm going to be at the market soon in a few weeks in July. That's it. I'm going to sell my art. If nobody wants it, I'm selling it. So and I was like, so many artists that are doing this, selling their art for nothing. And I was like, I don't want to do this, This is valuable. I want to bring value to this work. I want it to be legacy. But she did it, guys, and they never stopped. And now she disappeared. I don't know what happened, maybe to her husband, or she had a life, let me tell you, difficult life. But that's it. They came and went and vanished into the unknown. Culture cancellation. That is sad. The Ocean Cleanup, another amazing organization. They are probably the best organization in the world right now. No pretension, no suit, no big talks, but they're out there doing it. They're removing the plastic from our oceans. So that's an organization that should always be supported. Just like the United Nations, I hope that they would not take the funds off of the United Nations, because they are the ones who respond to every conflict. They are the ones who respond to all the tragedies, that bring food, that never give up. These people, they never give up. That's impressive. I admire them a lot. Like, even if they wouldn't hire me, I would still be mad, but I could never criticize them, because there's really nothing you can say against the United Nations. They're so such angels. The prophecy of Pachacuti. The future is now. Quand tes chakras sont nettoyés, alignés et prêts à affronter une nouvelle journée. When your chakras are ready and aligned. The prophecy of Pachacuti, guys, when the condor and the eagle will fly together in the sky, the world will know peace. Okay, the eagle is America, the domination, the power, the technology, economy. And the condor, the spirituality, the knowledge, the health, the medicine, wisdom. nature, the environment. So basically, for me, for our times that we live in, I say when technology will work for the environment, when technology and the environment will be working along together, then the world will know peace, because technology is everything. Technology is what's going to give reduce poverty, what's bringing defense, what's bringing healing, all the scientific research, all that. This is technology. This is going to change everything. So it's happening, guys. The Pachamama, we're here. Okay, the condor is here. With Pacha Unai, and it's like we're like a bridge. That's crazy, because I have Pacha Unai, and they are such great people. I admire them so much. They're over there in Peru, and I brought this to America, and they're traveling the world also. But we're energetic beings, so we're stations at different poles to anchor the consciousness. Okay. So we came here in America to settle, and now we're making our way to the governments. So nothing is gonna change. Like nobody can understand like I do. That's my little Trump quote right now. I don't think no one can know better than I do, because my child is a crystal being. Okay, which means we are both hypersensitive to everything. Like I can smell something that is outside on the other side of the street. I have a very accurate sense of smell, and he is very, very sensitive. So when the air is polluted, we get pneumonia. When we eat a dairy that has a bacteria in it, we get infections, ear infections, or, I don't, but because I was raised in France when there's no pesticides and anything. So I have a legit immune system, but he doesn't. And he eats a little dairy, he gets infections. Like he's very sensitive. And the doctors tell me he doesn't have dairy allergies. I was like, oh, thank you, because you know him better than I do. Like I see that every time he eats dairy, he's like, I'm not allergic. And he doesn't have a straight allergic reaction like other kids can have. But every time he eats dairy, 2 days later, the next day or 2 days later, he has some sort of infection. Ear infection or mouth infection or cough, like lungs infection. Every time. And his father is like, he's not allergic to dairy. Esteban is like, I'm not allergic to dairy. The doctor, nobody tells me he's allergic to dairy. And I'm like, listen, every time you eat dairy, you have an infection. It's pattern recognition. Okay, you just have to realize it. And then the pneumonia. All the kids at school, 70% of kids are on Zyrtec daily. Zyrtec, like all winter. I'm sorry, like that's not normal. Allergies, like we all have allergies. Since when are trees trying to kill us? Trees, they convert our CO2 into oxygen. They are lifesavers. The trees are not trying to kill us, okay? Unless maybe they're sick of us and now they're like, here, pollen, come on, kill those guys. But I think it's more like the rockets and all the airplanes and the oil spills and all this crap that's happening and the bombs, all of that. What do you think? It's the same atmosphere for everyone. What comes around, goes around, comes around, whatever. Putin, of course, here I'm talking about Vladimir Putin, the president, and the conflict with Ukraine. I've been, it's on my new version, but putting the weapon trafficking in Europe right now with Ukraine. I can't believe this guy is still in power. He's been taking money from everyone around the world, and the war is still not finished. They still haven't done an agreement. It's been 3 years. 3 years of war, and he hasn't been fired. Like, that's crazy. And then I'm promoting Like literally, we have people, you're at school, you have people getting fired because they touched a kid, or like one of my friends, she was fired because the kid was at the door, okay, and the door was about to slap at her, so she pushed the kid, so to avoid, like, she pushed the kid, and unfortunately the kid fell, and though she was fired for that because she was trying to avoid the little kindergartner kid to be against the door. There's other stuff that are unacceptable, but like for sometimes you get fired for just a little thing, and there's people that are there regenerating wars and millions of deaths, and they're still there. There's a very big problem in society, guys. Everything is running backwards. We're giving all powers to the leaders when they should be the most accountable. Excellence. I love the Blue Angels. I love the Thunderbirds. I love everything that requires like high level precision skills, because it makes you recognize the power of hard work and how hours of trainings and hours of discipline, and you know how many times they must have hated their job before, but then when they see the result, they're like, wow, yes, we are the best in the world. So that gives me hope, guys. I love them. That gives me hope. That be like, all my hard work and this day hating it and being frustrated and not being outside, like having fun and stuff, that will pay off because of excellence, because I know my speech, I know my confidence, I know nobody can stop me, I know people are receptive, I know we created bridges, with Russia, we created networks, new ways to communicate also. The Blue Litten Temple, so of course there are also some art outlines and stuff that you can use. You see, I put some images that I find cool that you can use while we're creating the painting. So imagine we're around a table and we're all painting and we're talking about that, and you're learning about symbols and we're doing themes. So the theme can be consciousness, the theme can be fashion and colors or chakras, healing. The theme can be politics and solutions and finding vision boards. That can be put in many, many different contexts. Then I'm talking about the books of prophecies. So I'm telling you some books, the Sacred Book of Zion, okay, with some extracts right here. Many centuries before Elena Blavatsky, in the pre-Christian time of Kievan Rus, there were legends that have descended to our days concerning the existence of the great book known as the Book of Doves. The Book of Doves. Why do you think the dove is the symbol of the United Nations? According to tradition, this book fell from the heavens on the White Mountain to the burning Alatir stone on the White Island of Buyan, which is destined to rest amidst the bottomless ocean ever since the beginning of time. It was written in the language of the birds by one of the supreme gods of the Slavic mythology, who later became associated with Christ. Hence the book's name, which could also mean profound or wise in the old Slavic language. Legend has it has many kings from all over the world came to see it, but no one could read it. And those few people they could read the book for exactly 3 years and read exactly 3 pages. In every myth, the Book of Doves is called the mother of all books, for the entire wisdom of the world is concealed in it, and it contains knowledge about the origin of the world and humanity. I love this. See, this is the stuff I live for. And I have not found the Book of Doves. I have tried to order it. I could not find the Book of Doves. Impossible to find it. Where is the book? I looked it up online, I looked on Amazon, can't find the book. So now this is your book. This is the book of language. This is the book of we all are here to speak the new language, to speak the wisdom. Okay, the Christ consciousness, the sacrifice, the service, and the revolt. You know, Christ turned the other cheek? Hell no, absolutely not. I'm sorry, I'm not Mother Teresa. I'm going to make a lot of enemies, but Christianity? I once had a dream that Jesus himself came to talk to me, and he said, Christianity is the worst scam of history. You know, and it's like literally a mass murder. They have justified a public murder of a guy, and then they fight him to say that, you know, he accepted it, he was okay with it, he turned the other cheek. You know, no, that is not correct. I think that Christ consciousness is empathy for the people who suffer, and it's not saying, oh, let them suffer anymore because Jesus suffered. It's saying, no, this time, if the Christ is coming back, he's coming back with a list. Okay, the Christ is coming back for his in Avengers mode. It's like no more genocide, no more torture, no more public murder that people just have to accept. That is unacceptable. You don't torture people on the public square and then they say, oh, it's okay, he was the Son of God, we just gotta love him. Oh, we love you, okay. Write a book about him and how they killed him. But that's just always, that condition people to accept, you know, injustice and being passive and accepting what history told you. Like I think more than ever, we have one planet. It's not even about spirituality anymore. It's about our survival. We're at this time where we have everything. We have the technology. We still have a healthy planet. We still have air. And we're at the time when we're about to have rockets everywhere. We're about to have amazing technologies. And we get to choose how we're going to make it like efficient and sustainable and clean. So this is the time where we have to stand up and we have to make sure, no matter what, no matter if it took your dignity, no matter if you had to work hard or no matter if you even like people or not, we have to work together. We have to go toward the mission. It doesn't matter how many times you said no. It doesn't matter what people think of you. Who cares? The mission is we're saving humanity, our kids. We're saving the planet. We could bring the best time in history. Or have you seen the movie, the show Travelers? I think that's so funny because they're travelers. They're coming from the future and they found a way to transfer their consciousness into avatars, like people that are like basically about to die. So like, for example, there is a woman who's about to be killed in the street, and they come just at that moment in time before she's killed because they're secret agent. They kill the guy and they take that life. So they didn't take her life because her destiny was to die, but they took her avatar. So she's no longer here, but they've been able to travel back in time. That was really cool. And they're here and they come back and then they go and they eat a pizza and they're like, oh my God, the food. They're like, oh, the food is so good. I can't believe, because in their future, there's no more food. They're just eating like canned or just dried out products or food supplements and stuff like that because the food no longer exists, you know. And we are this turning point. Why so many brilliant people? Why so many discoveries happening right now? Why the explosion of the internet making us able to link and connect? Why? if this is not because we are at a very important moment in history that we have to make a big decision, and make sure we're going to the right direction, a fork in the road. Some Earth dwellers have been granted the right to be guided by the teachers of humanity, and at certain stages of this discipleship, secret pages related to the laws governing the universe were revealed to them, and not only their own destiny, but that of all humanity, depending on what use they made of this knowledge. Such depositories are located virtually all over the world, in the depth of mountain ranges and beneath the sand of vast deserts of different countries and continents. Many people, see, this is what I was talking about. Like we're like pillars, energetic pillars, put at different places. Many people wonder why, if all this is really exists, the teachers themselves do not open them and make everything available to the public. By way of reply, it is enough to ponder such questions as, for what purpose and in what domains are the most advanced technologies used? Directly they are discovered and developed by scientists. Is this medicine along with education or military industry with all the consequences that come with it? Unfortunately, the answer is obvious. Even today, we can see how certain personalities in pursuit of profit stop at nothing. They are all too prone to cutting down forests, polluting the purest water, and poisoning the air and thereby people, not to mention the fact that human lives too have no value for them. And what would happen if this secret knowledge fell into the hands of such people? Bro, what they would do to the planet then? After all, knowledge is knowledge, and it itself is neither good or evil. However, if it becomes available to all, then how can we control what hands will get at it and in what way it will be used? Indeed, it is human hands to add either a light or a dark coloration to the knowledge. That is, listen, I didn't even remember I had this in my book. Like, I'm rediscovering, it's like the Tablets of Emerald. I've read it 100 times, but even every time I read it, I interpret it differently. This book, it's exactly what I was just saying. See, I channeled it. That's another confirmation that we are the great book of life. This book will teach you how. It will give you confirmation. It will teach you to use art as a way to channel. But that's crazy. That drives me so mad, guys. Like they here making their beautiful speeches and they're trafficking weapons more and more. So I'm giving them a benefit of the doubt, like always, We can add either a light or dark coloration to the knowledge. So I am convinced there are people with terrible agendas who do not care about killing. They do not care about the little people. All they care about is their little interest. But I also believe that there's a lot of amazing people who want to help, who are doing the right thing. And or sometimes what you have to do, like NATO, one day you see me saying how NATO is awesome, and the next day you're telling me how they're all I'm telling you how they're all criminals and stuff. It's because they are a shield to Europe. They have a severe mission. They have the responsibility. If Europe hasn't, been attacked or anything yet, it's because they're the shield. Sometimes you have to be even hated by the people, but you have to be that shield that protects. And the strike that the Ukraine, but most likely, I don't know if he came from Ukraine, because Ukraine, his job is to take money. That's he's a good businessman, but I'm not sure he's a good strategist. But they're targeting like military assets. That was genius. And sometimes you have a hard mission that you're not necessarily liked by people, but you still have to do it because someone's got to do it. It's like picking up the trash, But nobody wants to be, nobody tells you what you want to be when you're older. I want to pick up the trash. Like, I've never heard that, or maybe in the movie. But we need them. They're so important, to society. Like, without them, we would be in health crisis, sanitary crisis all the time. So, but at the same time, I feel like there should be more negotiation efforts with Russia and with opponents to solve the conflicts peacefully and stop the weapon trafficking. Stop building the weapons. So, conversation with thought, the scribe and Lord of Wisdom, Billy Carson. Thank you, Billy Carson, for bringing back all the esoteric knowledge, making it fun, making it so interesting and attractive for people to follow it. He does workshops, he does events, he spreads quotes, he does, how does it apply to modern consciousness also. And this is why I think he really deserved the Nobel Prize of Literature this year. All the books that they wrote, like actually, okay, so you have their books here. The Emerald Tablets, Volume 2, Emerald Tablets of Thought, based on tablet, what is it, the 14th? 13, 14, I think. Fractal Holographic Universe, it's talking about decoding the matrix, quantum physics. They are signed by Billy Carson twice. Yep, guys. Elizabeth Carson now. Oh. The Recipe to Elevated Consciousness, where she's sharing all of her biohacking techniques like red light therapy or tapping. The Epic of Humanity with Matt LaCroix and Billy Carson, where they're making a compendium of all the prophetic texts. So I really feel like humanity needs knowledge, they need facts, they need data, they need science, they need all the practical things to understand how the world works and survival and taking us to new levels and stuff like that. But at the core of every person is that same questions. Who are we? Why am I here? You know, who is God? Like all these spiritual questions, I feel like even it's very rare to have people who don't ask themselves those questions. And it doesn't mean they're not spiritual. Actually, I know a lot of people that are not spiritual for a bit or asking questions about this kind of stuff. And they're very aligned. Like their mission is to be practical, it's to be goal-oriented and to manifest in the matter. They don't know that's like their life missions and stuff like that, but that's obvious that it is, and they get things done, you know. But for the majority, and this is why it's the cause of a lot of wars of religions, because religion is so important and people feel triggered once you say that another religion would be you know, the real God or whatever. And then people get triggered because this is everything that they believe, who they are at the core. So if you're triggering this, then people can react very violently. It's just like, you know, when you see on Instagram or someone posts something and that just triggers you, and then you're all like full of hate and stuff. You're not full of hate for the person. You're hating that the trigger that's within you, that you're like, you know, like, it's like, for me, it's like the millionaires telling you that meditation, the secret is meditation. No, it's not meditation, guys. Like, you can, for millionaires, meditation is great. Yeah, because they're not here wondering how they're going to pay their bills tomorrow. Okay? For poor people, meditation doesn't change anything. It's like, get to work, bro. Stop meditating by the pool. So stuff like this that trigger me, because I'm like, you forget really easily once you get in the higher castes, like what it is to really struggle, and then they lose empathy a little bit. But that also teaches you to seek for excellence. And I think we need that. Like TikTok generation now, 30 seconds attention span. Like people probably, if you're still watching this video after an hour and 38 minutes, wow, like you're one of the rare people who still has a brain that is able to be attentive to something, to follow along a conversation, to be like looking for, okay, what is it behind this? I want to know, you know? Mostly that here is all the secrets of all our community. Everything is in there. Hidden and buried, lost to man's knowledge, deep in the infinite exists. Lost but existing, flowing through all things, living in all is the infinite brain. This is what we were talking about, the channeling, you know? The truth is in plain sight, everywhere, all the time. I was recently reading on the news about 4 Chinese officials accused of spying on Chinese American communities, and in their journals they were mentioning something very interesting, that they had to accomplish the task. Okay? And this kind of terms immediately made me think of a reference to the Emerald Tablets when he mentioned the plan that you know of. That for them would probably be a reference to a Chinese prophecy. So I looked for one and I found one. I mentioned it earlier. There is a book called The 2x2, which would be composed of poems revealing events that will occur in order. Highly ranked communities and officials are always very keen on this sacred knowledge because they have built their entire culture upon them, in plain sight or a secret. They are taken very seriously. Vladimir Putin, for example, he often refers to The Possessed by Dostoevsky, and openly thought that it's very dark, actually, and depressing. But he openly talks about prophecies. And for most Americans, the Bible is the Holy Grail. So why this phenomenon? Because they are from authors or characters who were connecting to the collective consciousness, not just by imagining a novel and enhancing our fantasies, but by entering our mind, our thoughts, our weaknesses, and our dreams. They're transcendental, they connect us all, and this is why they are so highly addictive. They give us hope that someone could see a greater truth, create an extraordinary path, or accomplish miracles or prowesses. And if someone could do it, so could we. Okay? We identify to uplift ourselves at the same time. This is also the reason why such great audience respond to the people in this book. Most come from nothing and made it to the top. You admire them for their qualities, their accomplishments, for being role models, and what it reflects is that you too can become it. Okay? So, let's continue. Let's continue. The Blue Little Temple, the United Nations, page... Oh, I don't have the page on this. So 510. Here you have... See, I'm talking about the Naval Postgraduate School, the new spaceships that we should build, my research about the free energy equation and spaceships and stuff. I should add... That seems I remain new finding in there, but this is the never-ending book. Like I could add the book, we're writing the story every day. So I'm not going to continue the book. We are continuing. You get the references, then you go look at the references and you learn from them. Chapter 2, the Blue Little Temple. Okay, it's in the Tablets of Emerald, the United Nations. The greatest organizations in the world. Humanitarian, environment, they defend everything that is important that will save humanity. They're trying to mediate. When there is a conflict, they're not taking side because they don't want people to feel misunderstood. Everybody in a conflict, everybody's right, seeing from their own perspective. Russia, he believes he's countering terrorism and human trafficking and Nazis that are in Ukraine. And in Ukraine, in Europe, they believe they're defending themselves from the big bad Russian president. And it's always like this. There's always two sides of the conflict. So at some point, I feel like you have to take a stand and keep people accountable when it's always the same person who's attacking and there's people being killed. You have to keep people accountable. But at the same time, the only way to negotiate is to make them feel understood and say, okay, well, now we need to find a common mission, a common goal that we can agree on. If nothing that was done can be agreed on, and they're going to keep fighting indefinitely because this is also their culture. This is how, the Olympics and the wars at the time, it's how people were showing their strength, the strength of a people. It's how many wars they've been winning and conquered. So some people didn't, it's still very strong in their culture. So Antonio Guterres, his goals for 2003 at the United Nations headquarters in New York City. So let's see. We need to change the mindset of decision making. Don't focus solely on what may happen to you today. Look at what will happen to all of us tomorrow and act. We have an obligation to act in deep and systemic ways. After all, the world is not moving incrementally. Technology is not moving incrementally. It's moving way faster. Climate destruction is not moving incrementally. We cannot move incrementally. This is not a time for thinking, it is a time for transformation. It starts with the UN Charter and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This year marked the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration, the distillation of our shared mission to uphold and uplift our common humanity. It was bold, ambitious, and audacious. And we need to take inspiration from its spirit and its substance. I love how he's talking about the spirit and the substance. The Declaration reminds us that the inherent dignity and equality and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation for freedom, justice, and peace. When I look at human rights in the broadest sense with the 21st century lens, I see a roadmap out of the dead end. Excellencies, it starts with the right to peace. The Russian invasion in Ukraine is inflicting untold suffering to Ukrainian people with profound global implications. The prospect for peace keeps diminishing. The chances of further escalation and bloodshed keep growing. I fear the world is not sleepwalking into a wider war. I fear it's doing so with its eyes wide open. But the world needs peace, and peace in line with the United Nations Charter and international law. We must work harder for peace everywhere. In Palestine and Israel, where the two-state solution is growing more distant by the day. He said that before it happens. In Afghanistan, where the right of women and girls are being trampled and deadly terrorist effect continues. Listen, all this, it happened. He was right. That shows even more how much we must listen to the United Nations and make this organization like the one pillar decision maker in the whole entire world. Like every decision that is being taken should be approved by the United Nations. This is my opinion, because it's so hard to get in, and the people who work there are real humanitarian. They left their lives. You know, not everyone wants to be a humanitarian, a volunteer, and go work in Africa to help, the poor kids, or go to the Middle East to try to save people while they're being bombed at the same time. Not everyone wants that. I don't want to go in Gaza right now to be a doctor. No, I'm sorry. I don't want to be bombed. These people, they're heroes. They're heroes. Like, war is there, they're there the next day. They're bringing food. They never stopped. So it would be hard for educated people with high standards and high value, who live with integrity and all of that, to impose to everyone else, the belligerent people and all of that, that they stop doing what they're doing, right? It's almost impossible to control the actions of everyone. But man, education, they're trying, they're going out there, they're making their conferences everywhere in different countries. It's not just New York City, it's in France, it's in Brazil, it's in Germany, it's in Switzerland, it's everywhere, so in Japan. So little by little, they're changing the consciousness, and then people, they go and report that. But I think this is very new. Like the internet is basically really new. 10 years, 20 years, the internet, but the way we're using it so efficiently right now is very recent. So recognizing them with the Nobel Peace Prize, first, that would bring back their credibility and be a statement to say, okay, we have requirements that the governments must follow, and we must implement the decisions of the International Criminal Court, and those who don't follow it, who signed it, will be kept accountable. There's no more free pass, okay? Just because you're trying to do a good action after you killed hundreds of thousands of people, that is not enough. That's not enough, and you're roaming free. But they continue, And they keep going every day. In Israel, where security is deteriorating at alarming rates. And he was right, it happened. In Myanmar, which is facing new cycle of violence and repression. And they welcomed him at the United Nations. They were still trying to give him, a platform, and he came to the United Nations and he was so disrespectful, insulted everyone at the General Assembly last September. And then he started killing the whole Gaza. Why? Because they're selling to the realtors, the promoters, they're already sold the land. They're just waiting for it to be free so they can rebuild. Even Donald Trump, during his campaign or when he became president, he had a whole clip about the new Gaza, the golden era, the new Gaza. They don't care about the people. They just want their way. I believe in partnership. I just believe there's also some big sharks that just do a little bit of just what they want, and maybe they think, but it's gonna help them. We're gonna rebuild so much better, it's gonna be so much better. But that comes back to deciding for people, all these people who lost their lives, maybe they love their simple life. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but why didn't we give them improvements to them where they are, instead of killing them to then making it like an American hub in the Middle East? That's genocide. In Myanmar, which is facing new cycles of violence and repression. In Haiti, where gang violence is holding the entire country hostage. And everywhere around the world for the 2 billion people who live in countries affected by conflicts and humanitarian crisis. Excellencies, if every country fulfills its obligations under the Charter, the right to peace will be guaranteed. But they didn't listen. When countries break those pledges, they create a world of insecurity for everyone. So it's time to transform our approach to peace by recommitting to the Charter, putting human rights and dignity first, with prevention at the heart. Like, this man needs the Nobel Peace Prize. We need to bring back the Universal Declaration of Human Rights to tell the world this is peace. A document that is not created by Antonio Guterres. This is created and signed by 193 countries all around the world. First, they started with 93, or I don't know how many, after the Second World War, to avoid the wars. And then everybody signed in. And now they're not respecting it. So we need to say, the world agreed for peace. This is, I don't know. This is just straight logic. Just imagine that it was your family. That's it. That's all you have to do. Okay, I'm going to starve this entire community until they all die. Just imagine that was your family there, and you're going to know if yes or no it's a right or wrong decision. That is it. That is the only question that you have to think about. What if this was your family? Would that be a good or a bad decision? So for sometimes, everybody's different. Like I said, some people, their family, everything is their family. For some others, everything is career. But I think most common sense people, they'll say, even if you're not too close to your family, is it okay to go and starve them to death? I don't think so. And that requires the holistic view of the peace continuum that identify root causes and prevent the seeds of war from sprouting. A world that invests in prevention, focuses on mediation, advances on peace building that includes a much broader participation of women and young people. These are core elements in our plan to revitalize a world in transition and new leaders in the strategic competition. It must be a game-changing climate action. Yes, this is probably the best speech This was his best speech. I loved it because he really was so wise and an eye opener to what's going on, and he told us what's gonna happen, and that actually happened, and they didn't listen. So we have structures. It's like telling you, hey, you know what? You have water and electricity in your house, but you're just still going to the still going to the river to grab your water, or you're still going to outside to make your own fire because you have water and electricity, but you don't really care using it. What a waste of time and energy. You have progress, just use it. That's the UN Charter. They created a foundation document and people don't use it. That's such a waste. So now listen to this extract from the Tablets of Emerald. Right here, talking about the Blue Litten Temple. Enter the Blue Litten Temple and bathe in the fire of all life. Know, O man, thou art complex, a being of earth and fire. Let thy flame shine out brightly. Be thou only the fire. Wisdom is hidden in darkness. When lit by the flame of the soul, find thou the wisdom and be light-born, a son of the light without form. Seek thee ever more wisdom. Find it in the heart of the flame. Know that only by striving and light pour into thy brain. Know how I have spoken with wisdom. Listen to my voice and obey. Tear open the veils of the darkness. Shine a light on the way. So this is wow, so emotional, because now I realize that I put this on a picture of Nice, where I'm from, and this is where they decided to do the summit on the ocean in Nice. So I was like, see, they listened and they did it. And I think it's funny also because they say, find all the wisdom and be light born. Just like when I light people up, that's my welcome. When I used to be so nice and so peaceful and so happy, and I was such a good person. And then when I came to America and I just got kicked out of everywhere I tried to work with, or every single place I was, and I became so revolted, and that, I stopped trusting. And sometimes, you have this wake-up call and you see stuff that go wrong and that urgent, and that people just let it slide, and you can't just let it slide if it's urgent. Just like our planet crisis right now, it's urgent, you can't let it slide. So that just drives me out of my fury. That just lights up the fire within me. And this is one thing that I'm so mad at them, because they think it's funny. Like all the Robert Grant and Billy Carson and my mentors and stuff, like Tony Robbins, oh my God, they're laughing their butt off when I get mad and I'm here yelling at politicians and be like all worked up or saying the stuff that they can't say because they will lose audience if they start doing politics. But they want me to do it. And they're like, oh, we don't talk about politics, but, you go do it. Yeah, you're doing great. Thank God I haven't been murdered yet. But that just because I care so much, and when I see injustice and I see things, people that are like slow or just ignoring a problem, or just they're not giving you information when you're asking for information, and when we should work with all transparency, which I do all the time, even when I have I never have a hidden agenda. Like I always tell you, if I have an agenda and I'm promoting you guys, it's like, yeah, I'm promoting you all because I want us to build this new spaceship, to save, to make sustainable energy. Yeah, I'm promoting you all because I want to work with you, because I want to work with the best. I want a job, I'm doing all these Nobel Prize campaigns and stuff. Well, this is different because I really believe in rewarding. Because if you reward the people who worked hard, then it means that maybe one day I will be rewarded too, because this is the path I'm following. It's like, it's always the role models, genuinely supporting them and rewarding them, but it's also the role models that we need in society to tell the new generation that's the right way, that's the right mentality, that's the right thing to do. This is where we're heading. This is the path you have to follow if you want to be rewarded and promoted. So that's why for me that's so important. But that's also a way to show how I moved all the stuff around and connecting people and stuff for these campaigns. Of course, I want to be hired. I want to work there. That's my life. I do that all the time. So they find out when they start meeting me and I start yelling at them. They're like, welcome, giving you back. What do you say in English? Je vous rends la monnaie. I'm making you taste your own medicine. They'll find the wisdom and be light born, a son of the light without form. Yep. But yes, you're light born, because after, I love when people prove me better, and I'm telling, there is a weapon trafficking, blah blah blah, and then they're showing they're actually doing good things. Then I like that. And I think everybody should be like that. And this is really one of the typical points of our network, is that we do that. We transmute and we prove people better. There's not much, of course, everybody has emotions, and sometimes you piss someone off and they're gonna snap back, or they get tired of you or whatever. But then in the end, I would say 90% of the time, it's proving better or uplifting, or someone is down, we bring them up, or we keep them accountable, or we just prove them better. They tell you, when I didn't get the Mandela Prize, and they all were like, okay, bye, bitch. They were all so rude, trying to kick me out. Why? Oh, because I was rude with the Ministry of Fishery. Yeah, but you're happy that everybody knew about it, right? So now it's a problem that's on the table that we have to solve. If you're just saying politely, nobody's gonna notice you. If you're saying, we're a little dot among millions, okay? If you want to be noticed, you need to have your signature and something that people are going to be hooked with, and that is going to catch their attention. So my way is to just tell the truth, because in America it's very superficial, and sometimes I try to put water in my wine, but that's still you can't change people. I am what I am. You can't change people because they correspond more to who you are or what you want them to be. No. Okay, so listen to my voice and obey. Tear open the veils of the darkness. Shine a light on the way. Let's publish all this so everybody can feel like, yes, we are part of the network. We're not just thinking you all are stupid and doing, in plain sight, talking in plain sight where people don't understand. My friends, they're like, but why do you keep doing that if nobody's talking to you? I'm like, oh, they're talking to me. I was like, they're writing you an email? I was like, no, I don't have an email, but they're talking to me. And they're like, yeah, no, you're crazy, blah, blah. It's in front of their eyes, but they don't really read or understand. So these are all the jobs I applied to at the United Nations. So let me show you some. This one is so cool. Cropsicles. Listen. I was in France for an exhibition called CAP, Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat, and we were painting this with my best friends. I was painting this one, she was painting that one, and the next day that she finished her painting, this crop circle appeared that says CAP. Alright, it was an A and a T, Alice and Thomas, for her and her partner, and next day we had that. And I was like, what? They're listening. See, with the leaves, that was over this. They're watching. It's the eye that is always watching. We always accompanied. And then this one, that was crazy because when I came to the US, the first thing I think is I went to the Grand Canyon and I took that picture, and then shortly after this crop circle appeared, but I didn't notice it yet. I saw this years later and I was like, oh look, this is Isis. And then I was like, but that's also the condor, right? And with the thing there, I don't remember what that was. That reminded me of something I had just painted, and I was like, wow, see, it was written. They were waiting for me. I was the condor coming to America. And Isis, also the feminine energy, right? Talking for the mothers. Everything I went through, I know it was a meaning. So that was very cool. So all the magic, why am I saying this? Because when you see the magic around you and when you feel like you're part of a prophecy, you feel like you're part of something bigger, you have a mission, then you keep going. You continue like, I'm important. I'm carrying the mission of Pachamama to America. That's not a small mission. That's a big mission. So I must continue. If I was given this honor, the stewardship of ideas that Russell Brunson talked about. It's like, first God gives you a little idea and he sees what you're able to do with it. And then if you're doing good, he's going to give you another idea. See what you can do with it. And then another idea. And it just escalates. And if you're not taking the idea, it's going to give it to someone else. And here it is, the key. Me with my key of the temple of Abu Simbel in Egypt. Love that picture because the key really represents the knowledge, the opportunities, the access granted. Yep. What else? The Resonance Science Foundation. This is how they started too. They started with sharing. They were working, but they were sharing their knowledge at the same time. They were not just keeping it hidden. They exposed all their knowledge. Transparency. You're bringing people with you. See, I was the first person to do that. I was the first one who started when COVID hit to do all my workshops online, and I was promoting books and all this stuff, and then everybody started doing it. Everybody had their workshops and stuff, except that I was doing it alone. I was told no every time I went. So, after you spend 6 months making a full high quality movie and they don't publish it, and then you're writing a book, they're using it, but it's not published, and you never see really the rewards. You're like, dude, is it really worth it that now I spend my whole summer making a movie and stuff like that? No, I've done too much. I really want to enjoy this summer. This is my gift. This is my retirement before I start my career. I'm going to enjoy this one. Even though sharing with you guys, I love it. It's like my passion. I do it. I'm not feel like I'm working, but I know this is also something that you must feel working at the United Nations all the time. You're feeling like you're doing all this work, and what is the reward? You're being killed, being insulted on social media, being disrespected, the ICC. So it's a very difficult job. Will you keep going after people ignore you so many times? I don't think I would if I didn't have a child, because I wouldn't have that vision of the next generation. I would say, I'm just gonna love my life. Why am I gonna go do something like this? Just gonna love my life, do the easy things. But when you have kids, it's different, because you're leaving them this world, and then you're responsible. Like, okay, I can't imagine. I don't want my son to die by asphyxiation. I don't want my son to die by a missile. That is horrible. And I see others, it's happening to them. And don't worry, if you don't stand up for peace and democracy and for the end of weapons, one day it will come to you. If you don't stand for the victims, one day it will be us. We're the next on the list. Okay? So we're lucky we're in America where we have the best military in the world, but we can't look away. What you let others live, it will come back to you. That is for sure. Then the mastermind. This process isn't about turning you into something you're not, changing an introvert into an extrovert, for instance. It's about accomplishing something deeper, better, and more custom tailored to you and only you that can last a lifetime. That is the Metatrons Cube activation of everyone's mission. This is what the mastermind do. My mentors, they awaken the people, they take them out of the tunnel, and that's what they do. They're awakening people in all these different places. The internet was really revolutionary for that. Then you get plenty of stuff, the Alpha Omega, the Platonic solids, the Codex. So the Codex, you see, do you know the Codex series on Gaia by Robert Grant? Do you think he invented that? What is the Codex? The Codex is the Badianus manuscript of the Aztecs. Okay, and it's called the Codex Barberini. It's in Latin. It's from the Vatican Library. And it's a bunch of indigenous recipes of plants. That's a medicine book. The Codex. In Mexico, in 1552, two Nahua men created a codex, or handwritten book of Aztec medical knowledge of the King of Spain. Martin de la Cruz, a native doctor, wrote the text in Nahuatl, and native scholar Juan Badiano translated it into Latin. Nahua artists painted the plant illustrations. A handbook of medicinal herbs of the Indians is the earliest known medical book from the Americas. It is now called the Codex de la Cruz Badiano. Curious? Ask at the desk to see the complete codex. But don't try this at home. Plants can be helpful or harmful. It takes years of training to master their use. Even now, scholars are still decoding which plants match the codex illustrations. And the fun things is that now that we're becoming a lot more spiritual and etherical, this functions also without even the plants. And I also noticed when I was painting the Rosa Pico collection that I was smoking a lot less marijuana than I used to. Big medical, of course, because the painting was calming me down, you know. And so you read this against the stupidity of the mind. I thought that was so funny. So I'm gonna read it to you, and then you will see the day after Dean Graziosi, he posted that, and I thought that was so funny because see, it's divided in 3 parts. And after he posted that, like the world went to shit. Like everybody went crazy. Like I was like so angry, like vomiting all the anger, all the grudges and stuff like that. And then I was like, oh, okay, he's cursing. It's a spell on us, you know, but to purge. So against the stupidity of the mind. You don't have to throw them bombs. Just give them some plants. Let one who is possessed of such a mind drink the crushed roots of the Tatlacotic in hot water, that he may vomit. A few days later, let the roots and flowers of the Yolo Yolo Chochito, and Cacahuachochito be crushed in water, and let him drink the liquor before eating, wherewith the evil humor in the chest will be largely driven out. Third, let the small stones in the stomach of the birds, Yutkecho Total and Tlapa Total, the Tetla Yutul, the precious stones, Tlakal Watin, etc., and pearl be ground together in water. After this, divide the liquor into 3 parts, one of which he drinks, and the second is at once poured on his head. Having done this, let him carry his hands the stone found in the stomach of the Wakli or night owl together with his gallbladder. With this and the drinks, he will come to himself, and his sanity of mind will be restored. Let his head also be anointed with the brain of a raven, and a dove's feather crushed and put in water with human hair. On his neck, let him carry the stone found in a swallowed stomach. But see, there is so much symbolism as well. So yeah, but I really feel like we're on a fight against the stupidity of humanity right now, and I feel like I have a big role to play in it, to show loyalty and the effect of the mentors. I think really the effect is significant because you guys knew me when I started, and you followed along the journey and how we were able to grow together and the mentors and stuff. So that would be really a direct live road to success. Yes, I'm already a success, but I want to spread it to others now, do it at massive level. So the 6 stages of acceptation, I already showed you that. What else? Talking about divorce as well, when and how to talk about divorce, because even though I always promote marriage and family is everything, you can't just divorce. If you're gonna go through a divorce, you have to be really smart. Like, you're not gonna negotiate when you're both angry at each other. It's not manipulation, it's just common sense. Okay, so you have to wait till you're both on a good terms and a good mood. Okay, now this is when we're negotiating. So when we're talking about our common goal, our child, and stuff like that. Prophetic dream, a light of hope. Years ago, before, oh my God, yeah, see? So that is so funny because a few years ago, I had a dream that I was in Nice and everything became dark. I was in Nice with a child. I didn't have my child yet. I wasn't a mom yet. That was before I had a child. But in my dream, I had a child and he was like 5 years old. And we were in Nice, which is funny because the last time I was in Nice, he was 5 years old and my life was crazy. I was in such a dark abyss. I was in debt. So let me tell you the dream. So I was in Nice, I was with a child, and a little gray alien came to grab my hand and he said, you have to come shelter. And he took me in a boat. So we went to the castle of Nice. There's the castle and there was a secret entrance underneath it. Now this is where there is an elevator now. But in my dream, it wasn't an elevator. It was a secret passage. It was a secret door next to the elevator. I don't know, maybe it's there. I will have to check because I haven't been back then to check. And he took us to the boat. And all of a sudden, there were other people there, just a few people, not everyone. And there was a big storm, a dark storm that came and covered everything. And nothing, we were protected in there. But as everything cleared up, It wasn't a disaster. Yeah, there was some trees falling down, the floor were all messed up and everything, but everything was looking so bright. Like the light was so beautiful. The dolphins were dancing. It was so shiny. Like I wasn't worried. I don't know. I had a feeling that we were good and stuff like that. And it's so funny because my friend Marina, a week ago, she's like, oh my God, I saw Jesus in a dream. I had this awful dream. I was in my hometown and all of a sudden there was a storm. Everything became black and covered everything, but it didn't kill us. We just survived. And at the end, everything was so beautiful. And she's like, I saw Jesus and then everything was so beautiful. And I was like, that's crazy. Like in my dream, it was an alien, but in your dream, it was Jesus. But that was the same dream. In your hometown, something dark during our divorce. Like, you know, that was crazy. So I was like, you see, the Christ consciousness, they comes under many forms, depending on your own cultural beliefs. But it's still there. The magic is still there. So what else? See, I'm showing you the cool logos, doing study of the logos also. Have the Space Force used my logo for their logo. Of course, I didn't get no royalties on that either. I mean, I guess I got royalties because I got a nice house. So thank you guys. Thank you. I'm so grateful. Skims, look, love this. Skims, Kim Kardashian. Such an inspiration. I love, because it started as a pop-up store. You know, she started small too. She started as a pop-up store and started her brand, and now it's like one of the best brands in the world. She has her stores in Paris, in New York City, Los Angeles and stuff. So here it is, the condor. And you see, I give you some stuff that you can copy, so you can paint that. Here's my friends, my best friends. You can use the painting as frames. But anyways, it's been 2.5 hours, guys. So that is the book. Stronger, Fight Racism. So there's everything in this book. I encourage you to download it. I encourage you to download the book on my website. You will learn a lot of information, be finding good directions also for topics that you're interested in. But yes, so that's my last video, guys. I am waiting for you to contact me. I was gonna make a movie, you know, and I wanted to show you a little bit of my life. This is my life, this is my pets, this is my school, this is my but actually my life is very simple, you know. I'm a teacher, I'm a good teacher, I'm a mom, I'm a good mom, I have pets, I love my pets. I don't date a lot of people because I'm waiting for my enlightenment. I don't want to spend time with stuff that just, you know, I don't know. I want everything to be meaningful in my life. I don't want to be in the middle of married couples. I don't want to be I don't want no problems. I just want to find people who want to build together, that have the same passions for politics and for culture, and I just don't have time for anything else. You know, so if I'm trying to work with you, take it as a compliment, because I admire you, and I think there is a purpose. Like, I'm not just gonna work with people that I admire if there's no purpose, just because I want to sell a painting, or I want to publish a book. There is something that comes after. There is, we're going to build spaceships. We're going to publish the book, but we're going to do workshops. We're going to educate people. We're going to do, give art. We're going to create clothing lines. We're going to, like doing markets. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go to the market with my friend and we do markets. But for me, there's no purpose to do that. It's really, I love to go and talk to people. I love that. I love to go and I just talk to people, but it's just annoying to set up all by myself. It's always all by myself. It's always all by myself. That's the boring part. It's not what you do, but it's just to have to do everything all by myself all the time. It's like you're going out, go to the beach, go do that. Yeah, all by myself all the time. It's boring, And I want to do meaningful stuff that matter. But yeah, I'm not going to share about my school because they don't deserve it, really. Not my school, but the politicians and the people who are trying to put a mess where we try to bring solutions don't even deserve us to share, what we do, because I just don't trust them. And so I'm going to keep my little pollitos and my little piece of paradise here until they decide to have some common sense back. And I'm not going to share my kids because people are jealous. And then when we share too much, then we get sick. I believe in bad energies. And actually, you can see a lot of people that are famous, but they decide to not show their kids. And why? Because they know that energy can mess you up. So my pets, they're the ones who always take the hits. And so that's my very, I'm a cat lady, and all I do is read, follow politics, and I teach. And then now this summer, for the first time in a long time, I'm going to enjoy my life, our house, going out. And that would be a great reward no matter what happens next. If this is the end, I will have done everything I could. And you guys will miss out on everything we built just before it happens. But if it's the beginning of something new, then it's going to be amazing. It's going to mean that all our community is going to have a voice of the government, that we're all the conspiracy theorists, all that we want is to be proven wrong. We don't want good to say that the government, they're all traitors. We want to be proven wrong, but the wars are still going. Donald Trump, Mr. President, didn't you say that after in 3 days the wars will be over? This is worse. Like, without him there would never have been wars. Really? Because right now not only there's wars all around the world, but now there's a civil war in America because they're kidnapping people. And this is the most disgusting thing, because you see in their big, beautiful, ugly bill, they're planning such a budget for immigration services. What is that budget? The budget is they're giving bonus to people per head. Okay, that's why these immigration officers, they don't care. They have a bonus per people that they arrest. So they care about their wallet. They're selling their soul to the devil. Okay? Remember that. Because the price, you will pay it one day or later. You separated families. You made, I don't know, what's the bonus? You make $1,000 every time you get an arrest? $200 maybe? Peanuts every time you make an arrest? And you're selling your soul for peanuts. People that risk their lives. You know what? Let me tell you the truth. I think it's so stupid to come to a country illegally. That is so stupid. I I would never do that. I would never go take my kids and cross the border illegally, putting them in danger in the middle of human traffickers and criminals, or maybe other desperate people, to go and cross a border illegally. I would never do that. So let me tell you, if they do it, it's probably because they don't have a choice. If they do it, they're ready to take that stupid risk to offer more chances, more opportunities to their families. They're ready to leave their families behind, the grandmothers, the grandfathers, to go to America to find decent jobs and work hard to bring their kids to the university. They're being ripped off, they're being scammed by lawyers. They take $5,000 per chunks of $5,000. Like if you go to in front of the judge and you don't have a lawyer, they kick you out. You have to have a lawyer that pays you $5,000. And some of them, the lawyer took the money and never took care of the case. So they work hard, paid $5,000. That's a lot of money when you lose everything. $5,000 is a lot of money. Even for me that have a decent job and I'm legal and everything, $5,000 is everything. I just paid $2,000 for my cat surgery and that's it. I'm not going to be able to pay my debt. I'm not going to have all my savings that I was planning on having to be good within 2 months. It makes a lot of difference. So let me tell you why they leave. Some of them, they left because of natural catastrophes. Some of them, they left because of the gangs. There were people coming to their houses with weapons. They were scared. Some of them, prostitution. They didn't want their kid to become prostitutes. Cuba, there's no food. They make 1/3 of their income for a piece of chicken. Okay? There's no food. The governments, they're taking all the money. Okay? The houses don't cost anything, but there's no food. So it's none but like either elites or prostitution. So they left. Okay? Afghanistan, they left with a government program by Joe Biden to help them after the Taliban took over. So it's not easy to move to another country. So the people who do that and who take this risk, it's because they don't have a choice. So yes, there are some criminals. Yes, there are some that come to make a mess and take advantage of what? I don't know, because it's not like the American government is giving us money for anything. Nothing. In France, I could understand. I'd be like, oh yeah, in France, they give you money for everything. In America, they don't give you shit, they give you nothing. It's like, ride or die. But yes, criminals, I understand, we need to arrest them. But they're arresting people who are going to their appointment to the judge, trying to regularize their paper, to do it the right way. You can't have one government that say, hey, come here, we're going to give you temporary paper. And then this next government is saying they're criminals because they came that route. Now that they have temporary paper and they did it the way the previous government allowed them to do, and now you're taking them from their families, the kids. Let me tell you, you're selling your soul to the devil. Okay, during Nazi regime, during the process of Gutenberg, when they judged the Nazis, that wasn't an excuse. Okay, saying I was following orders, he was rejected. So these people, for a couple of $100, you're separating family, you're treating people like garbage. You're accumulating money, but you're accumulating karma. And karma is a bitch. Let me tell you that. They see everything. Okay? You believe in God. Right? God sees everything. We came to this country. We stole their land, the white people. We stole their land, and now we're telling them they can't be here. And we're torturing them even more We're sending them back to you don't even know where. They make all this effort to come and work here. We're taking advantage of them. We give them the worst, crappy jobs. And they do it. They sit on the sun to build your roof while you're here sipping your tea, having it good. And we can't even respect them. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. Karma's gonna hit you hard, guys. Your next life, bro, you'll probably be one of them. Oh yes, you think there is a heaven waiting for you after you follow the dictatorship of the government? You're gonna go and God is gonna welcome you with you and your desperate family that can't even buy yourself a brain? No. Oh, you're going back. This time you're gonna be one of them. Yeah, let's see how you like that we're treating you. That's karma. So that's why one thing my mentor used to always say, he said, who are you when no one is watching? Let me tell you, I know there is always someone watching. Even when there's no phone and no camera and nobody. I'm always doing the right thing. And when I do stuff that I'm sorry about, then I'm very frank about it. When I kick people out of my house, I was very transparent about it from the very beginning. I was like, if you want this to work, you need to do this. I'm sorry. This is my house. This is my rules. I know I have my limits. I'm barely getting my head out of the water. If you want it to work, you need to do this. I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not going to say, oh, okay, whatever. No, it's the conditions, because this is what I do every day to be able to make it. And I'm not going to let anyone drown me, you know? So then they don't follow, and then they think I'm crazy because I kick them out. I was like, I warned you, okay? If you want to go somewhere, you're contributing. So you want these immigrants to come here, they're contributing, they're working hard, they're doing the jobs, they're paying the lawyers, they're bringing culture, and then we're kicking them out, separating them from their families. It's disgusting. So, what a world we live in. But I really feel like once you know that there is always someone watching, then you just have to be a good person. You know, even when you don't get the credit for it, even when maybe your boss is not gonna like it or whatever, but you also have to stand for it. You know, like when I came in the school, I had a problem because I started teaching our very first lesson was harnessing human energy. So, of course, I followed the curriculum, but then talking about human energy, I was like, oh, I'm going to do a workshop about the chakras. So they know about our energy point. So I posted on our dojo, I was like, oh, on that day, I'm going to make a special workshop on the chakras, you know. All the teachers will be invited to stop by, and it will be like some art we're going to draw, you know, the flower of life and stuff like that. And my boss told me, no, you can't. Like, I had a mom that was scandalized, and she wrote to me, she wrote to the executive director of the school, the director, the principal, everyone. She was like, this teacher, she's trying to indoctrinate our kids, you know, with her evil stuff and everything. So I don't want my son to participate to that class anymore and stuff. So my boss, my manager, he said, no, you can't do that class. Everything that you do that is outside extracurricular, you need to let us know. I was like, okay, fine. So I'm not going to do it. So I didn't do it. But then my boss, he's like, oh, she said that you did it. I was like, no, I said I wasn't going to do it. I didn't do it. And then, so it started like this. But then after that, they didn't really trust me. It was the very beginning. They didn't know me, so they didn't trust me. And they were really after me all the time just to monitor what I was doing or saying and stuff. But it's okay. I didn't let that scare me. I was like, I'm just going to keep doing my best until I get their trust. So then another time we were talking about the mitosis, and the reproduction, genetics and reproduction and the mitosis. So I showed them a picture of the flower of life. When the cells divide, I even have it in the book somewhere. What is it at? Let me find it. Nope, don't know where it is. So I showed them a picture of the flower of life, the cells divided and reproducing, and I was like, so in an art version of the mitosis, you will see the flower of life, that is the artistic representation. I just said that. I got a disciplinary action. I almost got fired. I got a disciplinary action because I was mentioning the flower of life. But that didn't scare me, because then I went to that meeting and I showed them the document that's in my book, where I'm trying to find it, because let me find what page. And I was like, no, I'm not making stuff up. This is nothing spiritual. This is just the artistic representation of the flower of life. So I defended my point. 108. Here. See? I showed them this. The mitosis, the flower of life. Well, then they had nothing they could say about it. Okay? So you don't let people scare you. You prove better. You prove them better. And then you make your point. Not everybody is right because they're above you. You're able to teach people stuff. So if you're an immigration officer or if you're in the military, you don't have to follow orders. Okay? You follow the divine order. The president is a human. Okay? But he can be wrong sometimes. I think Donald Trump, I'm not against Donald Trump. I am for the president and I respect the choice of the American people. But what I think he's doing wrong is that he's only working for the Republicans. And he discards completely. They're completely bashing the Democrats online, on X. All they do is making fun of Democrats, of people's feelings. You have people crying online because they're scared, and they're making fun of them. That's half of the population, 40%, 46%. What did Kamala win with? 48%, 46%? 46% of Americans that are scared and rioting and expressing themselves through this platform, supposedly for truth, on social media, and they're lashing them, making fun of them. They completely disregard them. They're still making bills that correspond to only half of the population, not all the population. If you're a president, but you're not able to discern, your political views and all the people, and taking care of all the people, then you shouldn't be president. Okay? You should be just represent the party, but you don't have the qualities to be a president. Then there's other stuff I admire about Donald Trump, that he says, to do this job, you need to have a lot of energy. You need to get things done. You need to be confident. That is true. He has an attitude, for sure. But you can just represent half of the people. And so if you're in the military, or you're a teacher, or you're an immigration officer, all these roles that you are legitimately affecting people's lives, okay? If you're gonna ruin someone's life, if you're gonna kill someone that you know is innocent, if you're gonna put more trouble into someone's life than they already had, then you're just a bad person. This is just a bad order. okay? And you have to stand up and say, no, I'm not doing this. Look, a great example. Donald Trump reinstated the military. I don't know if he did it or not, or if he just said it, but he talked about reinstated all the military personnel that refused to take the COVID shot. That was a presidential order, okay? Joe Biden gave the order, and the military, that everybody who didn't take the COVID shot would be fired from the military, okay? Presidential order. Now another government comes and they're like, oh, you shouldn't have listened. Those who refuse, they're heroes. They're heroes. They didn't take the COVID shot. We're going to pay them back all of it, and we're going to give them their job back. Okay, so now they're heroes. The people who did the French revolutions, they didn't like that, but now they're the heroes who brought democracy. Same in America. So maybe I'm saying some information wrong, because history is not my favorite topic. Not very good. But you know what I mean. So first they have to listen to the orders, and then a few years later you realize that those who said no, now they're heroes. So think about that. Sometimes you're like, okay, wow. When I shared about my job and stuff like that online, I was like, man, that's risky, what I'm doing. And, I was tagging my school. It's against the rules, to share pictures of the kids on my personal social media. And some of the kids, even parents, they were like, please don't post anything on social media. They don't want to be on social media. They're scared, and I was like, that's risky. But I still did it because I was like, I want people to know with the challenge. I want people to know that we're here for them, that we're offering solutions. Where people think there's problems, you're giving jobs. It creates new jobs. See, guys, I could talk about this for hours and hours. I know you probably prefer synthetic and short, but that's all the stuff that's going on in the world right now. And, you offer solution, you're creating jobs. And you're saving people. And that's what Joe Biden was doing. Yes, he got abused. I think Joe Biden got manipulated because he was such a good person. He is such a good person. He doesn't want to offend. His diplomatic relationships for Joe Biden is everything. He made such great diplomatic relationships with everyone. So he let some step on him a little bit, and they're starting all this weapon and sending money to Ukraine and stuff. That was wrong. But they had to make a choice and see if it was going to work, at least, But they created the jobs, they changed the neighborhoods, they created schools, created employment. The debt is just a number on a computer. All they got to do, if they really wanted to help you, all they got to do is reset the computer, So let's see what they're doing. But yes, guys, so that's about it. I talked about everything. The book, the UNAOC, of course, the dream job, United Nations Alliance of Civilizations. I would love, be honored to continue the role, to continue the legacy of Mr. Moratinos, who hopefully will retire soon, because, you got a lot of young people who want to take over, and you should enjoy your life and retire, and we'd be honored to continue and maybe work along each other for a few months. I would love to work with the Secretary General of the United Nations, even if it's for 6 months, and he's probably still going to be around, as a counselor, and to learn from these people, so we don't just come in and be like complete strangers, but transition time. So I'm ready to go in August. My job, don't worry, they will find someone. There's a lot of people who want my job, so they will find. I feel like I'm really replaceable. at my school, but at the United Nations, I don't think I'm replaceable because I've been putting so much intention and work, and all the community is waiting for me to go there. Like all the millionaires, they're all set. They're probably not gonna want to move, but I do. I got nothing. I have a beautiful house that I will keep. It's gonna be my weekend home. I'm gonna have people stay here, help people, help families, but I got nothing. My son is gonna go live with his dad. What am I gonna do? Stay here alone in my castle? Cry for another 5 years? Barely paying the bills? Barely making it? Doing the same job that I've been doing for 20 years? It's not my dream. I have my comfort, I have my dream house, but it's time to step up. I will not give up. Guys, I won't give up on you. I won't disappoint you. I'll be good co-worker to you all. I'll be a leader. I'm not going to be a little boss, bossing everyone around. I'll be so nice. Sometimes I'll be so crazy and pissed off, but overall we'll be going in the same direction with the same mission, trying to build bridges, educate, and trying to talk with the politicians, trying to expose the truth, trying to enforce the decision of the ICC, trying to show. I think there's going to be an era. I'm all about building bridges, and I really wish that we give them this one more chance, of making right decisions. But I think that there's a strong era that needs to come up where leaders go to jail, people who killed, people who laundered money, that we need to send their ass to jail because they're criminals and they don't care about their people, and they're filling up their pockets, and all the oligarchs, and while the rest of the world, they pretend they're listening to you, they're being super nice, but in the back, they're killing, and they're still here making videos on social media. You need to go to jail. That is it. Had any of us done like a 1% portion of what they did, we'd probably be in jail for life. You have people in jail for life for smoking marijuana, and they're committing genocides, and they're still inviting the General Assembly of the United Nations to go and insult everyone. Crazy. So yeah, that's where we are. So for me, I will be a friend, a loyal person, but I will send people to jail. I will fight till my last breath until these people go to jail. This is unacceptable. They're terrorizing people, victims that are voiceless, letting them die. There's trucks of food outside of the borders. They're leaving the trucks there. Why? Because they're not able to convince the US military or NATO or whatever to intervene. If I had to solve that conflict in Israel, the first thing I would have done is call upon the international community and beg them to bring the military, if their military is not efficient enough, to circle Hamas, the terrorist group, and exterminate them, okay? Not all Gaza, because you're not able to identify the target and kill everyone, including the victims. It's as if I was living next to a criminal in my street. Imagine, I don't know, but my neighbor is a criminal or whatever. He's kidnapping kids or maybe trafficking drugs or whatever. Imagine one of my neighbors, it's possible. You never know your neighbors. Imagine one of my neighbors is a criminal. So the police comes in my street and they kill everyone because they're not sure what house it is. Just imagine. Ow. Oh my God. I just popped my jaw. That's crazy. Okay, the military should have come to Israel, identify the terrorists like they did during Saddam or Bin Laden, and kill the terrorist and end of the story. Okay, not making it last for a year and the genocide of the full population. There needs to be investigations to know first, look what comes next. Can't wait to see what comes next. Now we will have answers. Okay, all the promoters, real estate, everything that's going to be rebuilt there, go back up a little bit higher to the source. Who's signing the contracts, when they were signed, and then you get your jail list. That's what it is. Who commanded that, and how much money are they going to make out of it? This piece of land that is sacred, and the land of the birth of religions, So is it the death of religions? Is it the golden age, a new era where religions don't mean anything? I'm not against religions, even though I speak, I don't necessarily approve the Bibles or the way they lead religions around the world and all the killing that was with it, but I do respect that people have a religion and that they do feel that they have their verse and stuff that inspire them, that give them hope and faith. And wherever you're born, people are religious. And me, I'm not religious at all, but I have my stuff that inspire me, that give me that faith. So it's kind of the same thing. It's also a religion. So I think instead of annihilating religions, we should actually teach about them and get to understand each other better. The best thing that they did is when it was a couple of years ago, I think they all went to the Vatican, all the leaders of all the religions, and they were all there at the Vatican showing unity and stuff. That was so great. And now they're fighting again. Can they ever stop? All right, guys, it's 3 hours. That's a lot of talking. If you've been watching this whole video, thank you. You're one of the 5 people that actually watch my videos. So let's work together. Once again, I wish you all a great summer. I'm gonna disappear a little bit from the social media. I'm not gonna lie, it's been hitting me a lot. The working so hard and feeling like I'm running on a hamster wheel and nothing ever happens, and providing all this content. I don't want to spend so much time on the social media if in the end I don't get the seat at the table, because they're not gonna listen. Okay, they want to dialogue. They want people that have a badge, and if you don't have the badge, they're not listening. So I'm actually I feel like I did a lot of progress with Russia, and he is listening. So I'm honored for that. And that would be a shame to stop now. And just when we starting to establish, a pause in the conflicts. And see this little tattoo right here. You see, they stopped the conflicts as soon as I posted that. So that's a bridge between us and trying to restore peace. But you can't force people, So I'm gonna take a little break for myself. And if you want more and you want to continue this journey together, I will be honored no matter what. I support you guys. Everything that you guys do is amazing. The forbidden knowledge and all this, everything. All these people that I talk about in my book. I'm not going to say I don't like them just because they didn't hire me. That would be very hypocritical. But I support you guys, but I just don't want to be hurt anymore by the disrespect. If you guys are not going to hire me, then I need to focus on building my life here. And that's it. Say goodbye. Mourn. After mourning my divorce, now I'm going to mourn my mother life with my son. I'm going to mourn my dreams. I'm going to be the dark villain in our castle. I'm going to paint my hair black. And I'll be doing like crazy stuff. All right, guys. have a great summer. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the support all along the years. And my best of wishes and luck for what comes next, for the Nobel Prizes. I hope that everybody promoted, the Secretary General of the United Nations is going to get his Nobel Peace Prize, that Billy Carson is going to have his Nobel Prize of Literature, that Elon Musk will have his Nobel Prize of Physics, because no matter what, he is the greatest genius in our era right now, in our time, so that needs to be recognized. And despite of political views, despite of everything, you have to look at the facts, and that they will get to work with the International Space Federation, with or without me, and that they will credit also, if they use their equation, they will have to credit them, donate to their foundation so they can keep the work, and credit them. So then Nassim Haramein can be the next person to get the Nobel Prize of Physics. If he's going to help you accomplish something so incredible, they need to have the reward too. You can't just take and use and then discard. My boss, he used to tell me at the Alliance Française au Bar, and my boss used to tell me all the time, you need to learn to use, not to abuse. Which means that he was excellent as having diplomatic relationships and establishing partnerships, inviting people to the events and stuff. Everybody would show up. He would call people one by one and have them show up. I learned so much from him. He was welcoming everyone at the Alliance. I was doing all the computer work, the posters, the promotion, all that, but he would just be there. He would just make people feel welcome. He would just, monitor the, it was mostly making people feel welcome, sharing the enthusiasm, that was the storefront of the Alliance. He was so great. And one day he was like, hey, can you order a gift for like that person and stuff? And I was like, oh yeah, for sure and stuff. He's like, you have to learn to use, not abuse, which means that if someone is going to work with you and they're doing a partnership, or they're giving you something like facilities, to do an event or something like that, you need to, excuse me, you need to give them a gift, or you need to give something in return, because the great relationships will last a long time if there is reciprocity. If it's always one way, then it's not going to last. So that's how important is it for you. That's why I always give gifts all the time. And I'm like, I'm here to give. I'm not just here to take. I want something, but I'm also here to give. It's not bribing. It's just grabbing the attention. When they have 1 million resumes on the table, or job partnership offers and stuff, you have to stand out. So if it's a big package that comes in with a painting or some cool stuff, you're going to read the letter. It's all about how you're going to stand out among this huge competition. And there's people who speak better than me, and there's people who dress better than me, but I stand out because of my persistence and my consistency, and also I'm right most of the God bless time. Like, I'm always often right. There is weapon trafficking and money laundering going on in Central Europe right now. Okay, and Zelensky needs a huge, massive audit. Okay? Because he's on my list too. So, jail time, guys. But if not, if you want the world to keep going wonderfully with wars going on and missiles and impunity and people disrespecting the ICC, then don't hire me, because I'm not going to tolerate that. I'll be screaming a lot. Okay? So I'll probably not be the right person. But if you want more integrity and someone who's just tired of the BS and is going to do anything just to harass these people, you see, professional in harassment. That's me. Okay? Then you can hire me and we'll do great stuff together. All right, everyone, have a good day. Have a good summer. Bye.